What is happening, everybody? It's Blair Johnson with the Badass Records podcast, and I am stoked to let you know that this week's guest is none other than the lovely Lisa Alpert, who rejoins me this time for installment number 4 of my Becoming a Swifty series. Lisa was around initially for episode number 147. The previous Becoming a Swifty episodes are 95, 98, and 115. And it was great to have Lisa back. We talked about her journey to becoming a death doula. We talked about writing and her new Substack. And of course, we talked plenty of T Swift. This podcast normally airs Thursdays. Socials are Twitter and Instagram if you want to keep tabs on it there. To holler at me, it's badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com, and everything lives on the site, badassrecordspodcast.com. I think that's all I got for you. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. So I'm back after 2 weeks missing. Welcome back to you. Episode 147 was when we first sat down, which is 8 freaking months ago.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Isn't it?
Is that really how long ago that was?
Yeah, August.
Whoa. Yeah, I guess so.
I remember, well, I brought this up.
That would make sense why I look skinnier to you.
Why?
Because I am a lot skinnier from 8 months ago. So.
But I remember you're still the only person that has messaged me regarding the temperature.
Oh.
And running, you run hot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I also run cold. I just have a really hard time controlling my temperature. So
Okay.
That's so funny you're bringing this up because I today actually went back through our messages because I was like, I feel like we talked about this, but I can't remember if it's hot or cold down there. I had to check that out.
Well, I mean, I hate the heat.
Yeah.
Give me the winter, the cold. That said, I'm always cold.
Okay.
And this room with the frickin' however many layers of drywall are on both of these walls, but above that ceiling too. I kick this little space heater on. If I remember to do it like ahead of time before it's glorious. Like I
nice
never want to leave this room. Yeah. The whole rest of the house feels, chilly, even if it's not to others.
Yeah, I remember now because it was summer and you were like, well, what temperature do you like it at? I can try to get it there. And I was like, oh, I think I said anywhere between like 70 and 74 or something. You're like, ooh, I better get the AC on now.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, I was being very conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I told you, but I cut that vent hole in that piece of...
in the making of this.
After. Like, I did a summer, and like I sat across from my friend Lisa Wilkinson, or Lisa Hill, and like by the time we went like almost 4 hours, by the time we wrapped, she was like beaded. I was like, I'm so sorry, like fan.
Yeah,
and
I'm a sweater, so
yeah.
I do have to like be mindful of that. Like my hands will get sweaty, like I'll start sweating through my shirt, and I'm like, yeah, it's not good.
But I mean, that was not a safe endeavor, and but I can get cold air in here now, at least the level of cold that my fossil of a unit will put out. So episode 147, that was such a blast. I don't ever do like big numbers, but that was a healthy one, view count wise, YouTube and so forth. And I had I had a guy who started with me at my new job. He, I think, will tune in every week and sort of see if there's any interest level. and maybe he listens all the way through, maybe he doesn't, but he like specifically was like, dude, that episode with Lisa was really good. And I was
Really?
like, what? Okay, cool. What? And he was like, I don't know, man. You guys got in there and talked about stuff. And I was like, I mean, I thought it was fun, but that's nice
Nice.
to hear, from
Oh, I love
somebody.
that.
Anyway,
Yeah, Solomon was like, "You two should have a podcast together. Let's do it."
right. So that was 147. And then Solomon, your husband, came and did one, which was 159. And then one of your besties, Marilee, came and did 162.
And Luke and Skippy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I know. I've sent you my whole tribe. Really?
God, I forgot about where is Luke up there?
Where's he at?
He
Oh, 150. He
There
was
you go.
shortly after.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was just a few after me.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
holy shit, what a wild turn his life has taken.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Always thinking about him.
Did you listened, right, to his?
Oh, yeah.
And so the random discovery of our mutual friend,
Oh, yes.
like one of my absolute
that was
ride or
so
die
wild.
homeboys who had been asked to speak at Gift of Life.
That's right. It
and
was
he and I,
Mom's charity.
he and I were talking, and all of a sudden he's like,
Yes.
"Who the fuck are you, Chris? Who?" And I was like, "Crenshaw." He's like,
Yeah. That's
"Get
right.
out of here!"
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And
so-
I'm sure you've since talked to Chris.
Oh my
Crenshaw.
God,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah.
yeah, of course he tunes in.
Yeah. That's so cool. Well, we got to shout out Luke because he's gone through open heart surgery and recovery. And I went and visited him a few weeks ago, and he's just like the best human being.
Right.
Just one of the best human beings. He's really alchemized this experience into he's just walked into a completely new timeline of his life.
Yeah.
And he's just making it, I am like tearing up. He's making it as meaningful as possible. Like, he's not sour. He's not like sitting there sour. He's like, oh, you got Kleenex. Cool. He's just like, this is my life, and I'm going to make it so meaningful.
Well, what's crazy is that still am trying to wrap my head around the level of planning and effort he came up with and puts into Music by Skippy and all of his performances, and trying to take all that information in. It's like the crazier and more chaotic and condensed, not chaotic, it's organized, but every time you add a piece, it's a bigger thing. And every time you add a piece, you're more vulnerable to stuff side railing.
Yes.
I don't think there's a bigger, side rail than having to have emergency open heart surgery.
Right.
And he's
thriving now, doing so much better. Getting healthy again, getting strong again. He just had he got on stage for the first time again at the end of just a couple weeks ago. It was a fundraiser actually for him that some other artists put together. I didn't get to go, so I can't. I think he maybe performed one song or something, but yeah, he's slowly making it back.
crazy.
I think
Shouts
writing a
out
book
to
now. Yeah,
Luke Harbor, Music by Skippy, which, as you mentioned, was episode 150. That was a fun one too. It really was.
Yeah. I loved that episode. I think I
Good.
sent that to a few people.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, Chris doesn't really do much in the way of social media, but I was seeing stuff that he was posting, but Chris was already getting stuff from Gift of Life. Because he,
Yeah.
so he was getting info and I was getting info and we were sharing it with one another, and what a trip. Thank you so much for all the referrals. They've been super fun.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so
Time.
this is the long-awaited fourth installment of Becoming a Swifty.
Yes. Before we start talking about Taylor Swift at all, can I give you this gift?
Well, I have stuff before Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to do stuff gift or gift stuff?
Let's do stuff gift.
Okay, perfect. So
That sounds
so the fourth installment, the first one was episode 95 with my homegirl Sophia Reed. Christy Smirchek did episode 98, and Tisha Cash did 115. And as I mentioned, several reschedules for us to make this happen, but here we are.
Yes.
So that's super cool. I got to hit you with some stuff though.
Okay.
When we were pregnant with our first, we were seeing a DO at St. Joseph's.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
What's a DO?
God, doctor of, not obstetrician,
Oncology or something?
It's
a doctor. Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
Okay.
I'm probably going to mess this up, but I think there's more of a holistic, less rigid philosophy to, as opposed to just your general physician. Anyway, intentionally, because like she wanted all natural, no interventions, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, we told this guy, and she was cool. She was chill. We told this gal that we were pretty certain we were going to have a doula. And she was like, oh, you're one of those. I mean, and then I think she was like, whoops. But anyway, like month 6 or so, she was like, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that everything looks fine as per your checkup today for what you're here for. The bad news is I'm moving to Minneapolis like in 2 weeks. And so we had to start over, which she was happy with because like good energy going into making that choice, but it still felt like, you know,
Yeah.
like you say the things, but when it comes down, we're going to do what we're going to do. And she was not a fan of that. Right. So we pivoted and went to research, and got in with the midwife, portion of that practice, if it's not the whole practice. And they were very clear, that you will see all 4 of the gals. You have a gal, but you're going to see all 4 just because you never know who you're going to get.
Gonna show up.
Which was fine. And she sort of after the fact felt like, so we hired this doula. Shouts out to Nada. Denise Cartmill is her name. And the plan was to labor at home as long as possible and then like just dip in and have that baby and dip out. But she went for her week 38 and there was protein in her urine again. And the gal was like, no, like you're actually not going home from this appointment.
Yeah. And
she was kind of devastated, like, cause it wasn't, and it turns out she was preeclamptic.
Yeah.
And so, and we had a midwife suite, which was a big room and had a big tub. And
did they induce her? Did she get to labor?
We did do a little bit of oxytocin, but, so oxytocin, and then she was allowed to get in the tub for a while and then had to get out, I think. But I'm telling you, like, and at the time I was like, what, you know, I'm trying to be as accommodating as I can be. Like, you're helpful and helpless a lot at the same time. All I knew was that the word doula meant the guardian of the sacred space. Rough definition there. There were so many freaking people in and out of that room, and the doula was just, Nada was just like, get out.
Yes.
You get in, you know. And then shit was not like, shit was moving very slow in terms of contractions and dilation. And at one point she was like, you are going to move from the bed to the bathroom. And my ex was like, not happening.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it is. And she got her over there and on the toilet to just sort of change the pressure of the way the muscle. And then she was like, look what you've done now, because this is where I'm having this baby. And she's like, nope, we're going back to the bed. And she was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And she was like, absolutely you are. And got her back over there. and sent a nurse to go get the doctor. It's time.
Yeah.
And the doctor came in and was like, I just checked her. And she was like, check her again. And she was like, oh shit, she is fully effaced. Is that?
Yeah.
And there was the baby.
Had
And it
to
was
come.
like, if she had not been there, no telling whatsoever. So, she, 2 postpartum visits. We wanted to encapsulate the placenta. And sorry if I mentioned any of this last time and I'm repeating it.
This is all new information.
The staff like pirated it out of the room, and she once everything was cheap. I mean, she had a bead on that shit.
Yeah.
Like she's managed, and she went, and they're like, sorry, it's got to go for and she was like,
Right.
you will give me that now.
Yeah.
And she talked some gal into giving it her, and she like fire escaped, staircase out of the building and drove it to our home and where the
Yeah.
gal was coming to do. By the way,
Because you have no idea what they do with those placentas.
who are you? That's not your call to say you can't. First of all, what?
I found out after the fact that they had conducted some a significant amount of studies on my placenta. I found it in my chart after the fact. I did. And if I gave
crazy.
consent, I was like on the C-section operating table. I don't know. I don't believe that I did, but yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, so a month or 2 months before, I was like, I'll do that. I'll, I have the chops to
become a doula.
no, to encapsulate the placenta. And I Googled that, and about 3 seconds in, I was like,
Was it in the freezer at this point?
no, like 2 months before.
Oh, gotcha.
I was like, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I'll bring it home and dehydrate
Don't you have
it.
to dehydrate? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I saw a picture of a placenta, and somebody had like this, whatever. And our doula was like, no, I have a gal. She'll come to the house. You won't even know she was there.
Nice.
And she's very affordable. And that was true. She brought all the things in to the home, did everything, broke it down, no trace that she had been there. And then we met her and she gave us and holy shit, man. I mean, her witching hour was like 4:30, more or less on the nose, sometimes all the way till 10.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of sadness and a lot of sleeping. And I'm going in the room. Don't come in there, you and the baby, just figure it out. And it helped, and we've did it for another doctor gal. You take her one pill and she turns it into drops. So like if the kids get the sniffles, so it's like postpartum health for the kids,
Immunity.
and then menopause for mom, plus when if our girl needed some assistance with her cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
So 2 postpartum visits, she was the best. And at the second one, she was like, have you guys ever given any consideration to a home birth? And so baby 2 was born in my room here with the same doula.
How was that experience different?
It was wild. First of all, she wound up preeclamptic again. The midwife, when she had that appointment and there was protein in her urine, it was December 23rd. And so we're like, oh shit, we have to fucking pivot and have the baby tonight. And after the fact, she was like, I think she did that so that she could basically guarantee she'd be at home with her family for Christmas. And I was like, oh my God, maybe, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
I mean, babies come when they're going to come.
Yeah.
But...
So, and she was like, we could have been a little more proactive to try and fight off the preeclampsia with dietary, et cetera, et cetera. And so she's like, next time, don't wait to come to me until 6 months in or 8 months. I was like, what? That wasn't our fault. I mean, the lady moved.
Yeah.
But So now we hired a midwife, and there was some weird, like the state of Missouri, big surprise, is weird about, like, you can be a midwife and deliver babies at a hospital, but you know, the certification, and they won't approve. So some of it you're kind of like flying under the radar, which is a crazy thing to think about. But so all of the appointments were here. And there was like a henna appointment, and all women, like, you know, and we didn't find out for either. But at some point deep into it, one of the gals like quietly, casually cornered me and started laying intactivist propaganda on me.
What's that? What do you mean?
People that are very against circumcision.
Oh, I
And
see.
I was like, I'm going to slap you in your fucking mouth.
Ooh, that's a problem.
Well, I just, like, I don't not get it, right? And the medical pieces, it's like, there's cases for both, like which more is the healthier and hygiene, blah, blah, blah. But don't talk to me about having a penis and what that's like if you've never had one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, it's...
no, women understand that sentiment.
So anyway, she wound up preeclamptic again, and it was very late. Like, and we actually had to go. She had to go see a doctor to green light. And somehow, some way, all her numbers aligned for the purposes of that visit. And he was like, I mean, fine.
Go ahead.
Her water broke, and I mean, nothing happened like all day. And so midwife came over. There was some castor oil treatments, which will flush any and all things out of you.
Oh yeah, I did the castor oil with my first.
Okay.
It didn't work. I tried it.
It was funny because I made food. I made a meal, and then they went for a walk, and then they did that. And she was like, "You should go to bed and just try and sleep for a little bit if you can." And I was like, "All right." And I was probably asleep for 2.5 hours, and she came in and like she's like, "Hey, it's time." And I'm out of it when and I was like, "Time for what?" And she was like, "The baby." And I was like, "Oh,
that's the time."
Yeah. So, and this midwife who was super, super sweet, I love her. All along, she's like, "You should totally catch the baby." And I was like, "I'm not fucking catching the baby. Like, no way. I am terrified." And she was just like, "Okay." Every visit, "How are we feeling about the baby catching your?" I'm like, "Stop asking." Anyway, so doula's here, midwife's here. We're both in the tub, and I'm like, "Are the joists strong enough to support the weight of all?" I mean, you could have like had 8 adults in this thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, the doula supplied the pool. I just had to buy a liner. And how did this go? She was like working hard. And he got, I mean, I kid you not, first of all, the cord was wrapped, which I freaked out about. And, you know, I'm not an expert, but I was really worried about that with baby number 1. And somebody said, "Dude, that's an old wives' tale because they get oxygen through the umbilical cord until blah, blah, blah. And then every time you turn around, you're reading a story about somebody's baby who died because of the cord." And I was like, I don't know.
We almost lost my first daughter because of the cord. So that's a real concern.
So what that meant for her was that she had to deliver a much larger circumference of the head than if it had not been wrapped, which was why she had to work so hard. But everybody freaked out because he got out to the hips and was stuck there. Ugh. And like, everybody's like, "Shit, you see a head and then a shoulder, and it's full seam ahead."
Yeah.
And so she's like on the edge pushing, and they're like, "Keep her hips underwater," and she's trying to like, and so I'm like, you know, and then I see him, I see the
And
top
you're
half,
catching that
top
baby.
half of his body, and doula and midwife are kind of like in the pool, not in the pool, but in the pool. And she turns to me and she's like, "Okay, so we're gonna have her one last big push, and then she has to turn around and sit." And so after you catch the baby, you're going to have to make sure that she steps over the cord. And I was like, I fucking hate you right now. Okay. And it was fine.
Yeah.
And, it was like it was like no joke, like 4:20 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I also had to buy a garden hose. So once she was out, the doula just put the hose out the window, and I was like, that's not how that works. And sure as shit, all the water's out the window. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not even kidding you. She just
Siphoned it out.
yeah. And completely, and she pulled the liner.
Like
and
there was no she didn't have to-
maybe, but I don't think so. I think gravity, because we're all the way up.
Okay.
And anyway, so she threw away the liner and packed out the pool, and at 6:00 in the morning, there was no sign that anybody had been here.
Yeah.
Except for there was a new
baby.
human.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I'm going to go downstairs and make coffee and start calling people.
Yeah.
So it was wild.
That's amazing.
But
You're so lucky that you had that experience.
everywhere we turned, people were like, what's a doula? And I was like, I didn't know it either. But now that I do, it feels interesting. And she has two. She has a cousin that's a doctor and an aunt that is a nurse, or I don't know. But they both, on their own, without communicating with one another, called her like before, and they were like, I can't rest my head comfortably at night without getting this piece off my chest. And the piece is that I think you're making a huge mistake. And I think she appreciated it, but it was also like,
Yeah.
like, I get it. And I was like, God, how it's bold, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a very long way of saying that was my introduction to that word. Right. And you showed me a new side of that by posting that you had become certified to become a death doula. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I think your post was when you were going to San Diego to get your International End of Life Doula Association certification, right?
Yes.
So if you go to their Facebook page, our mission is to encourage the presence of end-of-life doulas by normalizing death, dying, and grief through conscientious elevation and stewardship, and by fostering community and advocacy, which is a very thoughtful summary or bio. But I think when you posted that you were going on that trip, you used the phrase, I've been obsessed with a version of this. I've been obsessed with death almost my whole life. You meant that. I mean, where does that come from?
Okay. Well, I think I said I've been obsessed with the idea of human existence.
Okay.
Which is like what are we doing here?
Right.
What is this?
Yeah.
Like, why is it so weird here? Why is it so terrible sometimes? Why is it so beautiful? As a kid, I can remember just having moments of panic thinking about dying. I don't know. I guess I just always assumed everybody had this. I think everyone has a little bit of it, but I'm telling you, would stop me in my tracks, had to calm myself down.
What age are we talking?
Oh, as early as I can remember. Oh my God, I'm going to die. We're all going to die. No one, why is everyone acting normal about this? And why isn't anybody talking about it? So as a kid, I can remember just kind of having that anxiety. And, I didn't have any major deaths in my life or anything really. Like, I lost a grandpa at a young age, but I didn't know him all that well. So it wasn't really until my dad died when I was, in my mid 20s that I even had experienced like a close death. So a lot of people that get into this work, it's a lot of women who like lost their husband or someone who had a close experience with someone who was dying, and then I think that is so common because we're not exposed to death hardly ever at all, but then once you are, you're like, "Oh, this isn't so scary. This isn't so bad." And actually, like, gosh, everyone needs a little help with this because you're totally on your own. And the story that you're describing, I experienced that with the birth of my own kids, and still am processing the trauma and grief that I feel from my birthing experiences. And had I not been like part of this, societal norm belief system of like you have to go to a hospital and you have to have a C-section when they tell you to, and it's just whatever the doctor says, like that is all so heavily influenced by a money-making machine that is American healthcare. And I'll tell you that American death care is very similar. The funeral industry, the cemetery business, the hospice, hospitals, people dying in hospitals. It's
I
all part of a system.
I was 27 when my dad died, and by the time we were at the I went to the funeral home to view.
Yeah.
And then that's when the transaction piece happens.
Exactly.
I swear to God, we sat at a desk and it was all just it's a weird
You're surrounded by
building.
like examples of caskets and
Yeah,
stuff.
and just this guy is I swear he had like a print.
Yeah, the
Calculator. And so it was like
totaling up your
with every line item.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Can you
terrible.
fucking turn that?" I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't quite. I mean, my stepmom and maybe all three of my sisters were with me, but I mean, I had a very strong inclination to storm out.
Yeah.
It was
awful.
so jarring. That's sad to learn that
You're at your most vulnerable at that point. So like, I mean, the funeral home business, it's just such a scam. And because people don't talk about death at all, you don't deal with it until it's literally right on your doorstep. And all of a sudden you can't think straight at all. And all of a sudden you've spent $20,000 and that's it. You've had a funeral and they're gone, and you don't know if you've done what they wished or anything like that. So
I'm really glad you said that, because that bio, like that, all of that is lovely. I like good wording, intention went into that. And so those ideas in your circle and in that lane of your life, like feels comfy and you can move around and navigate it. But for those of us that don't, how do you begin to talk to folks about this before? Because if they're in it, like they're gonna be like, dude, what do you do? I mean, you have any idea?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I just went to a celebration of life on Saturday. Longtime teammate, hockey teammate of mine, 2 years ago was like, he just could not get over the hump of some back pain. And he was trying everything, and finally he went in for some tests, and they were like, there is a shitload of cancer just smashing the shit out of your pancreas. And that's like, so for a little while it was kind of like, hey guys, updates and things are fine. I'm working through some stuff. And then all of a sudden they created a Caring Bridge page, and he kind of like went quiet. And, as we are sometimes want to do, as humans, we were standing around after a game, and keep me on the email thread, because I'm going to come have a cold one after a game with you guys. And we got somebody new on the team, and he's like, you guys, we should use Bench App. It's real savvy. So I made sure that the dude that inputted all that put him on there and put him as a sub. So we're standing around having a beer one night. This is first week of March. And somebody asked, how's Andy doing? I was like, God, I fucking owe him a text. Like, Jesus. So I texted him the next day. And he was like, man, ups and downs and the craziest things are, I'm trying to be positive. The craziest thing is I've lost 80 pounds and a lot of strength with that. And I was, give my love to everybody. It's so good to hear from you, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, oh, I meant to ask, did you notice that we moved to Bench app and away from the emails? And he didn't respond. And like 8 days later, they were like, we're starting hospice. And I was like, what? And he was gone in 3 days.
Yeah.
So he was an Eagle Scout and a lifelong rec league hockey player. And his wife said, wear your favorite metal shirt or concert tee or your scout uniform or your hockey jersey. So there was a bunch of us, all teammates, in a line. And it was really cool. The dude was like, I've done a lot of these in this room, a lot of these. I've never done one that's standing room only. And the scouts had a thing, and he talked about the family, and he talked about hockey. And one of my teammates rolled in. I saw him in the ante room, and he had sunglasses on. I was like, what a goof. And then he came in the room. He never took them off.
Sobbing. And
he had Kleenex with him, and somebody went to offer, and he's like, no, I got some. And then 2 minutes later, he was taken from them. And then he, our former goaltender came, and he paused on his way in and gave him a hug and skipped me. So as soon as the thing ended, I had to pee, and then I beelined out, and I was like, and they're like, he's in the car. I needed a moment. And he got out, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, I see you all the time. I don't see him that often. I haven't seen him in years. I was like, fucking give me a hug.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, his mom went through this, like, shit, he did an episode. He did episode 46.
Oh, cool.
And the morning his episode aired, and we talked a lot about his mom. The morning his episode aired, he was going to Chicago. He was going to Chicago all the time to see her. And the morning his episode aired, he got like 40 minutes outside of town, and somebody messaged her, was like, she's gone. So anybody that knows him will tell you, anytime you ask him how he's doing, oh, I'm super fantastic. He's the cheeriest. He's such a good dude. Funny with information, in terms of like what he'll share, and not in a weird way, just different than me. And so somehow I took that and said, he's not an emotions on his sleeves kind of guy. So all that, I was like, God damn. And then I was like, I bet this is the first service he's been to since his mom's. And there was a night on the ice where he's good. Like, and he was just kind of a half tick off. And I kept like looking at him on the bench and out on the ice and being like, what the heck? The game ends, and we're all filing out of the bench and wrapping around to go to the locker room, and he's right in front of me. He peels out of the line and just goes and stands up against the wall. And the rest, and I paused, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? He's like, oh, I just found out my mom has stage 4. And I was like, oh my God. He was able to make lots of visits. And his sister lives up there, and that was great. But I don't think he had been, probably, I think he's a bottler.
Yeah. And
so going and experiencing a celebration of life for up here, I think opened up a lot of that. And I was just, it was Saturday, and I'm still fucking talking about it.
Yeah.
Because
grief hits everybody so differently, and it comes in waves, and it presents itself in the strangest ways, and it's so misunderstood. Like grief, and just understanding grief and what it looks like and feels like is a big role for a death doula. And it's, it's grief's a crazy emotion.
Are you into any kind of country?
Country music?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Like Jason Isbell or Sturgill Simpson?
Yeah.
Any of those? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of Steven Wilson Jr.?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God. He Grief is Only Love. I think I discovered him on Instagram. He did a gig, a live gig called Live at the Print Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Just real cool, like nerdy, big glasses and a trucker hat and a what do you call it,
A bolo?
bolo,
Uh-huh.
and just
Uh-huh.
the tone and his voice just really blew me away. So I saw this clip and it was really electric. And then the next clip I saw was him doing a cover of Stand By Me by Benny King, which was really good. And then he put out a record. And I was like, I gotta put this in the queue. And so we're listening. I think everybody was asleep. I was listening to it on the drive to Florida. And there's a lot of really good songs on it. But there's one called Henry, and it's super late in the album, and it tells the story, if I can get through this, the day he met his wife, he met her son at the same moment, and he was teeny tiny. And I mean, the refrain is like, you don't have to call me dad. You don't have to call me by, it doesn't matter. I hope, however, if I accidentally introduce you as my son, that it won't bother you. So good. But he's all on that same record. He's got a song called Grief is Only Love. And I think Grief is only love that's got no place to go. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll have to decide if his sound and style are something that's palatable for you. But
Yeah. I am making a Death Doula playlist. So
okay.
I'll check it out.
Okay.
I will check
Grief
it out.
is Only Love.
Yeah. Well, your story actually, I think a lot of us have stories very similar where, I mean, I had a friend, Mark Wildman. He would be a friend that what? Do you know Mark?
Dude.
Stop.
He cooked for me for a short spell, and I'm not kidding you. He came across my People You May Know. I got to just look real quick because this is equally, if not more, wild than my hockey
Than Chris
teammate.
Crenshaw?
No, well, that too.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's so great. Of course.
So I hit him. I was like, dude, are you? Because I was like, I have never met anybody with a more fitting last name
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah. We've said that about him all the time.
And he, presented well when I interviewed him.
Yeah.
And then immediately it was like, okay, it's a struggle for you to get here on time and to be clear-minded and but whatever. Sometimes you just need bodies.
Did he do an episode?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, in April 17th of 2024.
Today's the 15th.
Yeah. Hi, did you cook at Lou's with me for a minute? I sure did. How have you been? Good. How are you? Start bringing up podcast stuff. Same day, I'm doing fine, man. Just had a 7-pound tumor removed from my lungs, but having a hard time getting them to let me leave the hospital now. How have you been? And I was like, what? And the next day, yes, I'd love to do that. Totally down. Just got to get released from the hospital, but I'll start thinking about albums.
And then
he was gone. I mean, like I have that teammate of mine. I see his wife at school pickup, and she when he passed, when our teammate passed, she said to me, hey, just kids filing out of school, I'm sorry for your loss. And I was like, huh? And I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't on my radar but thank you. And then I saw her yesterday, and I was like, how's Tony? And she's like, you know, that was a lot for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And so we talked for a good little minute, and she was like, oh my God, he's such a softie. He cries at Pampers commercials. I was like, me too. I've
Yeah.
always been.
Yeah.
However, when I lost my dad, I could not stop crying for months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it felt like, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but it felt like I had used all but my lifetime supply of tears, and something just hardened up
Yeah.
and shit anymore. I mean, I still tear up as easily as I used to, but not to the degree, you know. So when that happened with Mark, I felt a little bit responsible,
Yeah.
you know, like we're just BSing, and it was good energy, our exchange. We're just BSing about doing
He had
this.
the best energy.
But he's also dealing with a crazy real life situation. But you brought him up, and I stole your thunder.
No, it's okay. I can't even believe. I mean, I can because it's Mark Wildman.
Yeah.
But as you were telling me the story about your hockey mate, that he's the first person I thought of. It was very similar. You know, like one minute we're celebrating my birthday, like, and the next, all of a sudden, he's in the hospital and he's got a tumor, and it was like, you know, it was almost the end of the school year. It was like this time last year. And Solomon and I were like, man, we've really got to go visit Mark. Like, we really got to go visit him. And I remember specifically saying, this was like on a Saturday or something. I was like, let's just get to the end of the school year. Yeah. And, you know, and that because we would go over and have Shabbat dinner with him and his mom, like, and they're so quirky and wild, so wild. Like, we would be having Shabbat, it would be like midnight by the time we would be like even eating anything. But we loved it. But it's just like hanging out with Mark and his mom was not conducive for, like, you know, raising kids and going to bed on time. So
Right.
I was like, let's just get to summer and then let's get back to our regular Friday nights with Mark and his mom. And it was like 3 days later.
That same, I mean, I shared my exchange with my teammate with some current and some former teammates, and the goalie who got the hug from my buddy was like, in the post that his wife shared about hospice, she was like, you can text him, but he's not really using his phone. And our former goalie was like, we got to, like, 2 or 3 of us, we got to, like, get over there and see him ASAP, and told one of the dudes that was going to go with, text and see what the story is. And like 2 days later, she replied and was like,
Yeah.
he's gone. And we're just like, what the fuck, man?
So that moment, exactly, like, you know, if we could all feel a little bit better in that moment about death, period, like, and truly had a different concept of it, and it wasn't just like a cheesy thing we say when it's like, well, they're in a better place now, but like actually understand that and mean it, like, or just even maybe have a little bit more of an understanding of what we might think happens when we die, then anytime we find out that we've lost somebody, which more often than not comes as a surprise, then we can feel just like a little bit better about it, and we can have our wits about us when we're making decisions to honor that person. I mean, death is, I mean, it's something that's been going on in humanity since people were started walking the earth. So there is so much ancient wisdom and knowledge that you can pull from, where, I mean, we have really let this, I'm going to try really hard tonight to not sound like a conspiracy theorist, cuckoo, woo-woo person, but like, we have really gotten so far away from, like, just really honoring ourselves as people because of this horrible capitalist society we live in, with hospitals and making money and, trying to gain power over one another. And I truly believe that if we can, the only way that we can live well and be kinder to each other is to better understand what happens when we die. Because I mean, death is life, death is rebirth, all of it.
Mama always said
so
dying
much.
was a part of life.
Exactly, it is.
And
Dying
there's
is
like
the
some
thing.
Eastern thought where it's like an honor, like a celebration. It's not whatever we're doing,
Yeah.
which is just sadness and
I learned
weird.
this new term at death doula training, which is Jubu. I'm Jewish, but there are a lot of women out there who grew up Jewish and became Buddhist later in life. So
wow.
That's what a Jubu is. And I think I'm slowly transitioning into this, as I reach a more enlightened state.
Dude, bring me with you,
spiritually.
please.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding.
I think we talked about mushrooms last time too. I think it takes a few mushroom pills and we can just talk about the meaning of life. No, I guess I'm reaching more, and this also came from a past life reading that I had, a gift from Marilee and Tyler for my birthday 2 years ago, where I got a lot of information about, I took in a lot of information and processed it as guidance and direction in my life, and that's where some of this came from. But yeah, my plan is to just start some conversations. So
on death.
On death.
Not Buddhism.
Not on Buddhism. Oh, sorry.
No.
I got to go back to my Buddhism.
Yeah.
Yes. So from the past life reading, I have really started to buy into the idea of reincarnation.
Oh, wow.
Or just some version of it. Even if we are just like walking robots and we have no idea and we're all AI or whatever, and we're just like regenerating and there's memory whether it's that or whether it's truly spiritual, like beyond what we can see and comprehend in the 3-dimensional world, I believe that we are here like transcending lifetimes, bringing past life knowledge and experience with us, abiding by contracts that we have with other souls. I believe this wholeheartedly. And it's given me a so much greater sense of peace as like a walking, totally anxious, depressive, and someone who grew up having panic attacks about death. Like,
damn.
Just finding this line of thinking for myself and some guidance and purpose that perhaps I'm here to help spread the word about this and help other people feel better about their own mortality. I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's part of it. And I think that we're bringing this forward from other lifetimes. And I don't know if some people could experience death and talk about death in this way and start to just feel a little bit more peaceful, or maybe have the idea that something else happens after this, I think it could bring a lot of peace and calm.
So does this mean, I'm sorry if this sounds weird, because I just don't know, but I mean, does this mean that you're like for hire to be?
So I'm working on it. My business is going really well, my marketing business.
Yeah.
So it would be a dumb financial decision for me to, divest very much energy away from that right now. And so I'm sort of trying to build it on the side.
Cool.
When I came back from training, there's not that many death doulas.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. And so I've connected with a few. A couple of weeks ago, I went to an annual meeting for the End of Life Network. I'm just trying to figure out where I fit into
cool.
it.
Yeah.
There are different versions of this. People focus on different things, like I said, from grief to preparing for death to actual just like, being there bedside as someone's dying. And I'm really trying to be thoughtful about how I engage with it. I don't want to come in like there's not other death doulas in town doing this, so I don't want to.
There are not?
Well, there are.
Oh, there are. Okay.
So, like, I don't want to, I want to respect that.
Yeah.
I want to honor whatever's already been built here. So I'm trying to be thoughtful. At the same time, like, I'll be honest, when I went to that meeting a couple weeks ago, I didn't feel like it just wasn't the setting. I don't see myself like all buttoned up walking into hospice
Sure.
with a basket of cookies saying,
right.
I'm here to be a volunteer. Like, I don't know. I want to get more down and dirty with it. I want to host death conversations and death meditations at the library and just get people like talking about it. So I'm trying to figure that out. There is a death doula that I really felt a connection with. She offered that, you know, if she gets a call, she will ask them if they're comfortable with her bringing someone. So that meant a lot to me.
Cool. I was just going to say it's same with the midwife
Yes.
stuff. You got to see all 4 gals. Our
Yes.
doula was like, okay, your
Yeah.
date is circled.
You-
However, I can only be one place at a time.
Exactly.
So I think finding somebody that you jive with and building a little bit of rapport, and then they
For
do something
sure.
like that,
Yes.
and there you are.
Yeah.
In the
Exactly. So it's been a slow roll, and
but you're not in the Luke Harbor plan.
Oh, yeah.
Giving it, you're not giving it energy,
for sure. Oh yeah. for
right?
sure,
You're
for
you're not
sure.
letting it the flame die out.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm excited about it. You know, I think it's important. I had actually never heard the term the keeper of the sacred space.
Guardian of the sacred space.
The guardian
yeah.
of the sacred
Yeah.
space. They told us by definition that doula means female servant. And that's what I've
Oh,
always had in my
okay.
mind, which I think is just probably a more literal, like, you know, someone else's translation of it. That description of the guardian of the sacred space, anytime someone asks me, like, what does a death doula do? I'm still trying to figure out how I describe it. But the first thing that I say is I'm the project manager of the room where someone is dying. Like, I'm going to make sure that it's the temperature they want, first and foremost. Comfort. That the people that they want there are there, that the people they don't want there are not there. The music they want is playing, that the smells that they want are there. When you're dying, your sense of smell gets so heightened, and people don't. Like, if a woman walks in and she's got strong perfume, like, she's got to get out of there, you know? So that is the number one thing that a death doula does, is they project manage the space, and they just make sure that, you know, death is also a labor. Yeah. It's just like being born into the world. Like, as you're dying, your body is going through a lot of work to shut down. And you know, to have someone there by your side to help make it easier and to protect you from what I think is a system that preys on vulnerable people. I'm really excited to do it.
I played Anugama. Then he's got 2 albums of the same. It's like part 1 and part. He's got a bunch of albums, but there's one. It's like, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like part 1 and part 2. I played part 2, and it's, you know, it's like chanting and didgeridoo, but so awesome. I played that and Bobby McFerrin's Circle Songs.
Oh, okay.
Do you know this album?
Uh-uh.
Oh my God, it's so fucking...
Is that the Don't Worry, Be Happy
No.
guy?
Yes,
Oh.
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Circle Songs he put out in the late 90s, and it's 9 tracks, all vocals.
Okay.
And you know, when he's done a lot of he's got range, but he'll also do stuff on his chest. But there's other folks, I think, on this record, and so, you know, somebody will be doing like, you know, like a real high pitched like, and then over here somebody's like, and it's every song is so wildly different, and it's so beautiful from start to finish. Like, you know, it didn't take much for me to have those things at the ready when it was time, but I can't imagine the experience without, you know, just that piece of environment and comfort.
That's actually that was what made me really drawn to this particular death doula. Nicolette, gotta shout her out because she's really incredible. She's got a radio show on KKFI.
Oh wow.
Tuesdays at noon, I think.
Okay.
I gotta get this right because it is such a great show. You would love it. You would love her. It was just a few days after I got home from training, and I was just driving through town, and I had KKFI on, and I heard her and was just drawn to her, looked her up online, and saw that she does a lot of music therapy with elderly and aging adults, and she also has death doula services. So that's what attracted me to her. There's also a film, and I wasn't going to bring it up because I can't remember the name of it. I'll follow up with you and send it to you. But we watched it in training, and I like sobbed the whole way
Oh my
through
gosh.
it. But it's this highly spiritual Buddhist yogi guy. He's a Jubu, and very young, totally fit, and finds out he has a brain tumor, and he decides that his life mission and his purpose is to document his dying process, and it's very intimate. You watch the entire process of him dying, of him stopping eating and drinking, and he has a death doula, and she actually transforms from being his primary doctor. She's also a death doula. So at a certain point, she has to end her doctor relationship with him to become his end of life doula. But the music and just like one of the first things I got myself for my death doula kit is a rain stick. Like just sounds, frequencies. Those are things that we have just like we're not in touch with anymore. And at the beginning of humanity, this is how we treated death, and these are the kind of things that we can bring back. And
Have you seen Interstellar?
no, I don't remember. Is that
my
in outer
God.
space? Interstellar?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, but I don't remember.
So good. So
Is that
good.
the one where there's the little girl talking to her dad on the phone, and he's up in outer space?
It's video. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen
Okay.
it.
Well, the one when the first piece is they got to get near Saturn, which is 2 years. So they like cryo sleep, and when they come out of that, now there's this spinning device that they got to enter into to go to the next thing, and like the G's are crazy.
Yeah.
And there's one dude that's feeling real sick. And somebody gets him some Dramamine, and he feels a little bit better, and now he's kind of like tripping out about like there's just this piece of aluminum right here, and then on the other side of it's millions and millions of miles of nothing. And Matthew McConaughey gives him an earbud, and it's like foresty, rainy, cricket chirping white noise, and you can just see him like
Yeah,
it works.
it
Just well, I like meant that. How do we introduce this talk to folks about it before they're in that space where they're just going to be like, dude, so I'm not here to like hand out assignments or anything, but you continue to feel your way around and then tell us.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I'm working on a workbook right now.
I mean, because you can make an impact and make a change to what degree all by yourself. Like if you need others. I mean, I think
sure.
it sounds super valuable, and it would be
Yeah.
helpful to the America that we've
Yeah, for sure.
come to recognize as today's.
Yeah.
But I mean, so like when my dad died, just I had no real death experience.
Do you feel like you knew what he wanted, like when it was time to make his funeral arrangements, or?
Oh shit, no. He was an alcoholic. And it's really crazy actually. If you ask my mom, that's why they got divorced. He remarried, had two girls, and she, my stepmom, was waiting for the youngest. The oldest is already off at college. She's waiting for the youngest to get off to college before because she can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like, 9 months clean and then drink straight for 2 weeks. It's anytime anybody travel, if she travels or if he just you can see, and been to the hospital a few times, and so it was. I mean, I don't know if school was out or not, but she had her breaking point and decided to he never he wasn't violent that I know of. He's very very loving, but I mean he would when he would binge, I mean hardly eat. And so eventually he would always there would always be something, whether it was her or pressure or himself. Yeah, fucking get it together.
Yeah.
And then he would stop and his body would freak out.
Yeah.
Like, and so she did it. She, and I think a lawyer came and said, well, no, listen, the tough part is that if he comes home, you have to call the police.
Yeah.
So my sister, well, she, like me and my daughter, champion sleepers, woke at the ripe hour of 11 in the morning or something and came out of her room and the bedroom door was shut, which immediately tells her, oh shit, he's home. And her mom was at work. And so she called the police and, they came and arrested him and he, had seizures in jail. So they took him to the hospital where he continued to have seizures and died.
Oh my gosh.
And, she, for many, many years has steadfastly claimed that she has processed all of that.
Yeah.
Hasn't even looked at the table of contents. And I don't think she'll hear this, but I love you if you do. The World Cup was happening. It was 2002. It was technically Father's Day of 2002. And I had nodded off, some buddies were trying to stay out cause it was 6 hours ahead or whatever. And the answering machine went off at like 2:30 and then she's like leaving me a voicemail or an answering machine message. I need you to get the girls together and get here.
Yeah.
And that was, I was like weird that I, went into whatever, on this half was just paralysis and on this half was like focus, go and do.
Yeah.
And she's just get everybody to the house and stay there with them. And that was super chaotic at 2:30 in the morning, trying to get everybody together. And once we were together, I was like, we're going down there. And we got there and, one of them didn't have her ID. Like you gotta, and she was like, oh wait, no, I have you're expired that I've been using as a fake.
Oh my God.
And we were able to get in with that. And I mean, I walked in the room and he was, sorry, but immediately I was like, oh no, like, now it's real.
Yeah.
And I went over and I can't believe I put my fingers beneath his nose to see if I could, and I put my ear to his chest and then I kind of like blacked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was, nobody got to say goodbye. It was, it fucked everybody up pretty good. But people came out of the woodwork. The visitation, like they were like, it was around the church and they were like, it's going to be 11, 7 p.m. start time. It's going to be, there's so many people and so many people came to her place. His high school buddies, like, her brother, for the longest time sold life insurance for Allstate and talked him into canceling to sign up with him. And then they were like, no, you can't be a new life insurance person at age 50. So he like died insuranceless because, right?
Oh my
So like his high school buddies all like ponied 10 grand together to bury him. Wow. And it was like we were just surrounded by people for that long.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes back to their life and you're just on your
like,
own.
Why is everyone acting like this is normal? How can everyone else go on?
So had that experience at 27, and then at what's it been? So, like, I don't know, early 40s, went through divorce, and it was very similar in terms of like, here's folks with support. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
And then, some folks.
And similarly, the people that run scared because they don't want to go anywhere near death or divorce.
Oh my God.
And then you're like, why do you hate me? But they're just scared.
Yeah.
So my divorce and my dad dying happened at the same time.
Actually,
I left my first marriage, moved in with my parents, was living with my mom and dad. My dad went to the hospital like a week later. My mom and I were getting ready to go pick him up from the hospital. I was living with them with my 2 babies, and the hospital called and they were like, we just lost him. He was getting his final EKG, was supposed to be leaving the hospital. Like, my mom was about to hop in the shower so that we could drive up and pick him up and bring him home. And he died. Very similar. We just like showed up and there he was, gone. But, this was 2 weeks after I left my first marriage. It all happened at once. That was the beginning of the dark night of the soul for me.
Well,
But the grief is very similar.
The idea of people being around and then you're on your own, right?
Yeah.
And then the other piece is, I thought of it this weekend going to Andy's thing. The celebration of life, the whatever it is not for the deceased.
Yeah.
It's for the rest of us that are like, what happy we knew you, honored, sad, grieving, all the above, many more things. There's so many interesting pockets of the whole thing, and most of the folks that we know and get in there. And so I just think it's really cool. And I'm very eager to see the steps for you as they unfold.
I'm excited.
Very cool.
I will keep you posted.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
How are we doing? Do we need to get? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you good?
I am. Substack.
Oh yeah.
Is that?
You read it today.
I did.
What'd you think?
Rooted and Rising, right? I am super proud because it doesn't matter that a platform exists and you can sort of plug and play. It still takes a tremendous amount of courage to say in here, I'm going to do that, and then to do it. Bob Walkenhorst did episode 139 of The Rainmakers, and he wrote a book. And so I was like, that's my jam. That's my love, my first passion. And I was so geeked out, and he brought a copy of it with him, and he paints and does other stuff too, and still gigs twice a month at Mike Kelly's West Sider. But I really wanted to like get into the writing of the book, and when's the next one? And I was like, so would you do it again? He's like, absolutely not. And I was like,
really?
What? Why? And he goes, it is such a lonely journey. And I was like, it fucking is, man. Because that's the thing. You put your butt in the chair and do it. So I'm, I can't help but sound like a dork because I am a dork, but I am super proud of you for doing that. I'm also a little irked that I didn't know that you had chops.
What do you mean?
Like, your writing is clean.
Oh, thank you.
And good.
Thank you.
And did we talk about writing last time you were here?
I don't think so.
Why not?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I've got a weird relationship with it. Again, like, this is something, like, as a child, I sat in my room and would write, and then I'd crumple it up and throw it away.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want anyone to see it. I can remember, my first job at a video store. This like teenage girl, wrote poetry, and I looked up to her so much, and she would let me borrow her. She would like This was when you printed stuff out on that paper that had like the holes on the side.
Dot matrix.
Yes. And
I wrote my senior thesis on one of those and turned it in. My professor goes, "This looks like you printed it on a dot matrix printer." And I was like, "I did." And he's like, "I didn't know those were still around."
Well, that's what she was using.
Yeah.
And she would like link it all together. And it was this little booklet. And I would take it home and read. And I had a Zanga that I didn't tell anyone about.
Zanga.
Remember, did you ever? You might be a different. We talked about this. You're a different generation than me.
Yeah.
You were more MySpace, probably.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, I for sure used MySpace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Zanga was like your diary.
Oh.
Your diary online. It was
Okay.
like the first place you could really. I guess it's more like a blog spot. It was like an original blog.
And my buddy Andy was, his Facebook posts would
Yeah.
just, big, always
Yeah.
clean, but he would oftentimes start off his posts with "Dear Secret Internet Diary."
That's hilarious. Well, I lived in my secret internet diary, and always was like, I always told myself I'm going to write a book someday, but didn't really say that out loud. And then, but I've always written. I do grant writing. I'm in marketing, so I'm
Yeah.
always writing up little quips all the time for people.
You have the skill set for that, but they are not the same animal,
Yeah. Oh.
right?
Oh,
What you're
yeah.
doing that for
Exactly. Yeah, no. So this is truly a accumulation of like 9 years worth of Google Docs secret journals, like just getting my thoughts and feelings out, not really knowing what this is for. And then again, past life reading. I go in to talk I got the past life reading right after I quit my job and was getting ready to start my business. So I prepared for this and was ready to talk about business and my professional next steps. And she came in loud and clear and was like, "I'm here to talk to you about your children and your life and like, this co-parenting situation you're in." The information she gave me then was that, this is going to sound cuckoo, but that the soul of my ex is the soul of the person I was with in a past life and in my previous life, the one before this, and that in that previous life he died, and I was able to get out of that horrible toxic relationship dynamic. But in this lifetime, I'm here to work through it and to figure it out so that that cycle doesn't continue for my kids. So like that came in loud and clear in this past life reading, and I'm like, wait a second. I thought I was good with all that. I had pushed it all down. I was like, I've figured out how to co-parent and this is not an issue anymore. But like this all came out, and she told me, I'm being told you need to write a book. You've got to write about this. Every day you need to be writing about this. And in my mind, I'm like, I am writing about this every day. How does she know this? So I've had this co-parenting thing, being a parent, trying to like figure out this crazy weird world that I'm a parent in, and just every day feeling like an outcast in it, and wondering like, why the hell did I end up in this toxic like relationship of a situation that I ended up making kids out of?
When you were here last, we touched on this briefly, but I feel like it was all relative to logistics. I didn't know that you have all of this stuff, and I'm not interested in airing laundry that doesn't need to be aired. But in looking at some of your posts today, control is a theme, and the feeling of this jolt when a text comes in, even the way that this person is saved in your device. And I was able to see your writing, feel what you're experiencing, and also go, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, what is, okay, past life, died, escaped, this life, got to work through it. What is it? I know you might not have the answer, but you have to have a theory that's bubbling.
My theory is that like lightness dispels darkness. that a lot of the things that I have experienced since getting divorced or since becoming a parent and navigating a pretty toxic, controlling dynamic, really my question this entire time has been like, what did I do to deserve this? Why is this my path? Why am I why is this happening? And I really think that what it is, the dynamic is like control that can happen in the dark. Like everything that happens, I sound crazy if I try to describe it out loud. I sound insane. And I've met with lawyer after lawyer over the years. Like,
seriously?
oh yeah.
All for free?
I've spent at least an entire year of college for one child litigating my parenting dynamic. And it sucks because I'm like, I think that I'm an exceptional mother. I know that I am. And being a mother is something I've dreamed about my entire life. You know, I'm a stereotypical, like I have been waiting to be a mom. I have the best 2 daughters, like, but there is this dark cloud that hangs over our situation. And I have let it fester in the dark for a really long time.
Are you supposed to be assigning blame to yourself right there?
Well, I think that's just it. Like, this is and it's not just women. Like, men, I know that there are men struggling with this too. Like, in all relationships, I think there are these toxic, terrible things that happen that we become so like guilt stricken about, and we feel like it's our fault, or someone who's controlling and abusive tells you it's your fault enough times that you believe it, or you're scared to act, or you've been threatened enough that you're scared to act. And when that comes into conflict with like what I believe is the most important thing I'm doing every day, being a mom and trying to be a good role model for them, like, it's just like, what the hell? How am I going to fix this? So I can either go like, and I went to an attorney like a month or 2 ago and was like, please tell me, like, what do I do? And it is, I'm not even like assigning blame on my co-parent for this. It's like, we have these moments where everything is great, and then things get riled up and it becomes so bad and toxic that I am desperate for support. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't feel like this is ever going to get any better. But this has become an outlet.
You should call me if you ever need an ear.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't know that I'll be helpful.
Yeah.
But you certainly can.
Well, I think this is why Bob probably described the book writing process as so lonely, because I can air this out to friends all day long. But I still come home and I still like get the shakes every time I text, I get a text and I don't know what to do. Like, and again, sometimes the stuff that happens in the dark in relationships, and like, I'm saying this like myself, the hurt that I cause my partner, the hurt that I cause friends, the things we can't talk about, those are the things, like Solomon always says, you're only as sick as your secrets. And so much of what happens and what's impacting my girls happens in secret.
This secret and
dark.
And
I don't mean, it's not like nothing, hopefully nothing bad is, Lifetime movie bad is happening to them behind closed doors. It's nothing like that. It's truly, it's the dynamics that co-parents find themselves in when like you believe in your heart that like this other person doesn't have my kid's best interests at heart. And
you believe that?
Not all the time, but sometimes, yeah. And sometimes it's misguided. And I know that he truly believes that about me. Like, believes that in certain moments.
That you don't?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, co-parenting can become very toxic. It brings out the worst in people. I've seen it bring out the worst in me. It definitely brings out the worst in, my kid's dad.
So secret and dark, like any example?
Gosh. I don't know. I feel like we're kind of like trickling into, I've had to be really careful about what I'm writing because I also, like, I don't want to cause problems.
Right.
I don't want to, I'm trying to be really intentional about just like centering my experience.
Okay.
But for example, like, I think you read this one today, when coaching your child becomes a crime. Just like simple conversations I want to have with my kids. If my co-parent finds out about it and he internalizes it as, I'm
Against.
if it makes him look bad.
Oh, okay.
Like if my daughter comes home and she's had a sticky like conversation with him and she's like, "Oh, this happened." He is never going to believe that I'm not sitting there being like,
Fueling the fire,
he's terrible. Right. And like, I swear on my kid's life, I do everything I can to like, just to help them figure out how to tackle those difficult situations with him, because it's what I would do with anybody. But then it becomes this very dark, toxic spiral.
Okay.
Something like that.
Is he repartnered?
Yes.
Okay. And is...
To a child psychologist.
Okay. I was not expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what's the issue? Like, does he wish that you guys were still, or does he need control? Like,
yeah, the issue stems from a need for control. It really, it is truly like, I don't know how to, but really like that, I can't call that piece out, but I know that that's where a lot of this stems from. So it's a need for control that ultimately, it's a need for control that, it ends up like seeping into, I think it kind of like, it causes the dynamic to be toxic because he truly believes in his mind that he is a better parent and that he knows what's best.
Okay.
And that I don't. And that because I made this choice 8 or 9 years ago to break up our marriage and end it, that I clearly don't have the girl's best interest in mind.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. And, it's just been a constant, like, any moment that my life has, if I lost my job during COVID and he jumped all over that. Took me to court for where they would go to school at that time. Like, damn. It's just moments like that where like my autonomy as a mother, making simple medical decisions, I feel like I have to plead my case just to like switch the kind of allergy medicine that my child takes.
Jesus.
It's just a level of control that I cannot escape. And it ends up leaving me feeling like I don't have autonomy over like parenting, which is the thing. Like, I know more than anyone on this planet what my children need. But I'm being told over and over again that I don't.
I definitely bristled pretty hard at this notion of situation X happens and then the girls are feeling the need to position themselves to communicate that to you or to keep it from you, or like they're affected. I wish I would have taken
it's the gray area. Like there's
like this is not a normal like moving through the hours of your day little girl. Like they've got to now. You know.
Yeah.
I got that somewhere, and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, it's really because
they're still kind of little.
And finally turning a corner now, where like I'm feel safer to just talk out in the open because they can speak for themselves now too. Whereas before, I've faced a lot of accusations that I was like coaching them or teaching them what to say, or that I was crazy for thinking what I thought. But now, like they have their own experience that they can speak from. But yeah, what was your? I
don't know. What's the issue? I mean, I don't want to stay in this, unless you want to.
Yeah, no. I remember what I'm saying. Sorry. It's It's the gray area. Like, and this is, I think, this is the case in any relationship that we have, whether it's a boss at work or a coworker or a friend or a relationship or your parent. Like, if you don't know where someone stands with you at all times, like you're better off, we're always better off just telling the other person how we feel. And when a child's life is riddled with nonverbal cues and weird looks, and they come home and say something about their mom, and the reaction that they get is unexpected and catches them off guard, or they're made to feel guilty or badly,
that stuff, yeah,
then it's that gray area they walk in where they're always wondering, like, who's gonna react, like who's not gonna accept me in this moment, why am I gonna be in trouble now, like what is okay to say versus not. And they're constantly walking a tightrope.
yeah.
And that's what that is really, and that's why, again, like, you've had to bristle at this so hard because it is impossible to describe. I don't know how to describe it. One of my best friends, his daughter came home, moved back in after leaving an abusive relationship. Her wife was controlling and demeaning, and as my friend was describing the situation to me, like he was like, that's the situation. Like, you can't describe it. It's so sick. And it's so, like, I would sound so weird if I tried to describe these scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, it's a dirty look, and it's like strange text message that wouldn't make sense to anybody else. But it's exactly what is, like, eating at the insides of my kids and me. And I've got to get it out there. I know that I'm not the only one this is happening to.
No. And I'll tell you, we're all in some sense works in progress. I very much am so. Only really since I started doing this, did I have the experience where I can sort of see my whole timeline and be like, this is connected to that, and this is random, and it's not, but it has an effect over here. And I realized somewhere in that process that I needed to pivot from I take inventory of my life, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
Spouting out of so that it's embarrassing. And to be like, instead of that, why don't you just be like, this is the way things went, this is the way things are, and like try to exist, in that. And they're different scenarios, like complete different scenarios. But I say that to say this: I hope that this will take a little bit of the why did my life ...
Yeah.
What did I do?
It has already.
Okay.
Already.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the second the first time I posted it, I was like, oh my gosh.
Jesus.
And I've got, I've got the version that I ran through ChatGPT and said, be a litigious ex-husband and let me know if I broke any legal rules here, and let me know that this is safe.
Whoa.
Truly. And then I've got my Google Doc version, which is stuff I don't know if it'll ever come out or if that'll be the book or what, but
so
it's a very filtered, cleaned up version of
you're not just copying and pasting stuff from Google Docs and you're putting it fresh.
Yeah, I'm constructing.
Okay.
I'm constructing.
And
this, where this came from, you probably subconsciously, I know that you did inspire me in some way, because I have carried this desire for a really long time to get my writing out there. But the only thing in my mind was a book. Like, until I could write an entire book, I can't publish anything.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And then I
carried that bag around for a couple decades until I was like, this is fucking heavy.
Yes.
Like, fuck it. Just whatever the thing.
Like, I can just put it out one essay at a time.
I did a Chiefs Broncos sports blog with some college newspaper staff buddies that was super fun. and three of us were. It was we made some money on it, and then the joy scale tilted to, and they kind of bailed. So I started my own, and I had little spurts, but I took on one project. And there was definitely a gal that had done a version of this that I was like, I'm stealing that. And so it was called the 1,000 Gratitudes. So I just did that until, and I'm going to go to bed at 8:30 and set a 3:30 alarm and take a half hour to have coffee, and then I'll have 2 hours until the house wakes up.
Right.
Good luck getting to bed at 8:30. Anyway, so it wasn't like I did it for 1,000 straight days, but I did it until it was done.
Yeah.
And it was it 1,000? Did I really do 1,000? Anyway, I worked on it for a long time. And I've done other series, and you know what? Like, some of it's shit, but there's always little nuggets of good writing in there.
Yeah.
And that
There's one of those essays in there. I won't tell you which one. I'm like, this is shit. This is not even that good. But I felt like I'm really trying to go once a week, just once a week.
Okay.
And even if it's just something short and quick, I'm going to put it out there. But I get that. That's how I feel too. So there will be nuggets of gold in here, and there will be piles of shit, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Clean, well-written copy is like, porn adjacent from like, if I come across somebody's writing and it's clean and like it's sound, I'm like, what do we,
I love words.
I love what you have up there.
Thank you.
I was struggling a little bit with, and I'm fine with it now.
Okay.
But just in the moment, I was not sure how to feel about, I won't call it a lot, but not a little of bold and italicization. That's totally fine.
Okay.
No problem.
Give me your fearless feedback. I want it all.
And I am somebody that when I'm working on a piece, I know that I can craft a standalone sentence that like wears the uniform of a paragraph. But I also catch myself doing it too much. And it's like, this is starting to become an easy out, phone it in. Like, keep the good ones in there and challenge yourself. And this is me talking to me. The bulk of the thing is still paragraphs, man. You got to have 4 or 5 or 3, whatever sentences that there's a nucleus, there's a motif that is keeping them all together. Like, flesh it out. Like, and yes, use your one sentence standalone shit, but do it, with some awareness that if you overdo it, it loses the punch that you think, because it's not. It's so good, and then like no,
it's really interesting.
You get 2 likes,
yeah,
and you're like, you fucking people.
I know.
This is gold.
Yeah,
and then you go back, and after you've taken it, and you're like, I mean, maybe gold was a bit of a stretch.
Well, it's just really funny that you're bringing this up, because do you know what I do? The number one thing I do once I post it, I go back in, I open it up, and I change what's bolded and italicized. I'm like, no, this is more important. I gotta bold this. So I really appreciate your feedback, and I'm gonna take that under advisement as I continue.
So I'm weird in terms of, like, if I'm actually going to make an outline, and the title is centered in Roman numeral 1 and then capital A and then 1 and lowercase a, blah, blah, blah. Like, what is underlined and what is bolded, and, so I'm weird about that just for me, the way that I like it to look.
Meaning you like just based on your personal preference, or like based on rules of grammar, like you underline a book title. And
that's always feeding it, but this is me. This is what I like, and what I say is law. So those 3, that box with a B in it, and that box with the I, and that box with the U, it's like we need two people with each in order to unlock, because you just fucking can use it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I go like, you should write a paragraph that's so well constructed that you don't even need to italicize that one word that you think needs to be italicized, because it's written so well that they're going to do it when they read it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Back out away from the loony bin,
Yeah.
you know.
Step away from the BIU buttons. Ma'am.
So, but, you know, that's, again, like, that's just me. If that is how this needs to be, then by all means, I just, I mean, we're our own worst critics, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
And another thing, I learned, I laughed, as a dumb young person when I first heard the idea of the writing's easy, it's the editing that's hard. I was like, that's
right.
My first draft is always my final draft because it's fucking perfect.
Right.
You guys see this,
There's no such
and
thing
then
as a
later
final draft.
it's like, oh my God, I can't. I want to light the first draft on fire because it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And one time I was so fucking excited about this drunk Instagram purchase. There's a T-shirt that says, "Write drunk, edit sober," and I was like, "Ha, that is so awesome! I'm buying that right now." And I for like a month, I was like, stepping out of my OCD-ish laundry practices to sneaking it into so that it would be clean. I could wear it again. Because it's so preposterous. Like, if you've ever written drunk and then you go back to edit, you're like, you should end your life right now. Because that is, I can't believe the computer didn't melt down. It's such trash.
Yeah.
And you're coming back to edit this to continue. No, this is goodbye. And so I went from this, like, wearing the shirt a lot to, like, I hate that I have that shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's
total
just
shame.
Yeah, I mean, I bought it because I knew that that's silly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't wait to share the silly with everybody. And now I'm just like, I don't like. I haven't put it in the Goodwill box yet.
Yeah.
But it's going there eventually. I don't know. It's how much actual book reading are you doing right now?
I am on the last chapter of the first fiction book that I've read in a really long time.
What is it?
It's called Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And it is I love stories that are like, very Anastasia type stories or Mulan. I think it's because of my adoption background. Like, I love stories where it's just like the lost wandering child who's completely untethered to family. So this girl, she lives in this celestial world. They live on the moon and different planets, and she's like on a quest through the galaxy to free her mom from a lifetime of being trapped. Anyway, it's the first time I've read a fiction book in a really long time. But let's see, I got it in January when we went on that trip with Mary Lee, and I'm just now finishing it.
Okay.
So I'm a slow reader, and I really prefer nonfiction. But
oh, wow. Okay.
yeah.
I asked because I just finished. I won't tell you how long it took me to read this one, but one of my all-time favorite memes is like the most dramatic eye roll, whether it's James Harden. Do you know that GIF?
Yeah.
And the text is the books on the shelf that I haven't read when they see me buying more books.
A new one. Yeah.
So in 2007, I'm finishing my creative writing master's program at UMKC, and they're hiring. They end up hiring a couple new faculty members, and they let some of us grad students come to like a round table interview. And one of the gals they ended up hiring, Christy Hodgen. Christy Hodgen. And Hello, I Must Be Going this was just out.
Okay.
So I bought it, and it just has been up there, but I finished it recently. And she got hired, and she's written, Elegies for the Brokenhearted is another one. She's got a couple others. But really, like, I really enjoyed the fact that I got to meet her. Mm-hmm. And I went to a comedy show a year or so ago alone, and there was a dude sitting next to me, and then at some point he leaned forward, and the person on the other side of him was her.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, holy fuck, is that? Because she still teaches. And so I finished reading this, and she's very, like, I think, private-ish, introverted, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But I shot her an email and was like, do you want to, you wouldn't remember meeting me, but and it was so good.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk if you want to. She didn't reply, which on the inside, I was like, I hope she doesn't reply, because there were so many passages of writing where I was like, fuck, that's good. And I didn't notate it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't highlight or underline. I'm probably going to have to change it, or at the very least I could do Post-its. But
maybe someday she'll come back around. And
maybe.
She'll discover the message. And realize you've done this hundreds of times.
Right. So it was a really wild experience, because the story is about her family, and her dad was a vet who lost one or both of his legs. So he's an amputee, and they're just trying to fucking do the thing. Like, he, a writer, like, and she is like a server at a diner, who's like always exhausted and trying to encourage him to write. But he's got all this fucked up PTSD stuff, and his brother comes to live with him for a quick second until she has enough and tells him he has to go, and then he does, and then the dad kills himself.
Oh my gosh.
And I think they like come home and find him, and they're little, right? They're little.
Is this a true story?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is a fiction book.
Okay.
But
could be based on true
autobiographical fiction.
Okay, yeah.
And just she and her brother, the paths that they, and kind of in their own flavor of untethered from family. And mom is like a mess.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because I couldn't not see her, the author,
right,
as the character telling the story.
Yeah.
And anyway, so a lot of good passages in there. Chuck Klosterman is somebody that I've loved
I like
reading. And sometimes, lost in a paragraph. Like I didn't take away the subject matter of the paragraph because I was like intoxicated by some passages of really good writing.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh my God. Like, so anyway.
So you're a sucker for good writing.
Yeah.
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 I would highly encourage you to seek out a past life reading.
Okay.
Truly. What I haven't shared with you yet was that what I learned in my past life was that I was a journalist. I was a writer for a newspaper. And that, I think that says a lot. I think that solidified and confirmed a lot for me. Why I'm so interested in writing, why it means so much to me, why it makes me so mad, like, not why it makes me so mad, but why I get like by grammatical errors and like, stuff like that. And this, I think the past life reading can really help show, like, can really give you an idea as to like why you are the way that you are. And I bet you would find out some really interesting information.
I've had I used to be fucking grammar police on Facebook, and some people had to be like, you should chill out. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing a service. And then now I'm like embarrassed.
I know.
Like I might cut that out. But I've had 2 people on separate occasions, years apart, give me a gift that says, one's a mug, one's
Grammar
like,
police.
I'm silently correcting your grammar. And they're like, haha. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
And now my daughter,
Don't even get me started. They don't even grade spelling anymore.
well, she texts and I'm like, oh my God,
I
it's
know.
not the right word.
I know.
Often. Anyway, 2 more quick pieces there. And if you want to not touch on them, that's fine.
Okay.
Mental health and depression.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we talked about this last time you were here.
I don't usually lead with it.
It's not part of your Bumble, but no.
Yeah.
I would not bring it up at all if I mean, I saw a story or a post, and I mean, the words caught my eye. I was like, what? You know, I bristled a little bit. Then reading, I'm like, okay, I didn't dream that. I didn't imagine that. I don't know if it's the same thing as it is with death, and the fact that we don't, in our lives and culture, address it or whatever. I have so much work to do in those lanes, and that saying of Solomon's was like a fucking spear in the back that I'm like,
You're
no.
only as sick as
yes,
your secrets.
yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with any of it, except for continue to try to convince myself that tomorrow is a new day, and you're not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Fucking, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and whatever. So I don't necessarily have any questions for you. I just really wanted to say that I see you.
Thank you.
I felt that very much, and laughed at the noon piece.
Oh yeah,
because I've done way worse.
That's early.
Yeah. I mean, well,
yeah, that's a light day for me too.
well, like,
well, usually if you reach noon and you're still in bed, it's like, well, fuck it, this day is over. I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right. And it comes with this thing that, like, these are the hours in which we are productive.
Right.
And these are the hours that we rest so that we can do that again tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, the world works like that in a lot of ways, but sometimes it doesn't. So, like, I try to give myself some grace and be like, well, at least you accomplished this today. And so, tomorrow's a new day, and so there's this cadence when that kind of stuff is happening of the mental conversation that, unfortunately for me, sounds like you are such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
God damn it. How did anybody ever let them kiss you on the mouth, or hold hand, whatever. And then there's this whole,
you wouldn't believe the things I say to myself.
TikTok lane of, hey,
yeah.
if you're doing that, eventually you do that enough, eventually you start believing it. So I'm aware in that regard. But I'm also, and I could be way, way better, but I'm a big list person. Small short-term lists and long-term lists, and if I come up with a thing while I'm working on my list, I'll fucking I've already done it. I'll write it on there.
Oh yeah.
I'm also a dusk ish kind of. I kind of have this autopilot that will kick on and be like, you got 2 things done today. Like,
yeah,
you're not completely worthless.
Right.
So. Yeah. I don't know if you want to share anything in that regard, if you just want to move on, but I wanted to say courage that it takes to launch, as I mentioned, something like this, and then for the content to be what it is, and now you're vulnerable. I mean, that's a whole other flavor of strength that is not an option. You know, if you're going to put that shit out there, like, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, I think what you said is probably, the most rewarding thing I could hear from when I set out to do this. Before I started my own business, I struggled a lot being a regular full-time 9-to-5 employee. Not only just because, a good portion of my career I've been a post-divorce mom of young kids trying to figure all my shit out and also manage my own mental health, but we watched
why is that not my full-time job?
Right. I mean, it literally is sometimes.
I have a side hustle in the form of 2 kids.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a lot.
My side hustle is my business, Anyway, but it's always been difficult for me. I was a highly depressed teenager.
Your awareness,
suicidal thoughts, all of it.
When did you first have awareness of that?
I had a friend's mom drive me to the hospital one night when I was 15 because I was sitting on my bedroom floor thinking, God, if I could just figure out how to cut my arm open and bleed out and die, that would be the best thing ever. And I'm like saying it with a smile on my face now, like it's hard to, it's hard to cope with and think about, but that was when it first started.
Okay.
You
didn't fool yourself into thinking that was something else. You knew that was mental health, depression related.
I don't think I really understood. My parents were completely out of their depth. Like, I did not go to therapy after that. I was, my parents were like, what the hell was that about? Don't do that again.
Rub some dirt
that
on
was embarrassing. Yeah. And sent me on my way. Like, I was left all alone to figure that out. I just watched an episode last night of the show Modern Love.
Okay.
The New York Times show. It's episode 3, and it's Anne Hathaway.
Oh, Interstellar.
Okay. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch that movie. Okay. I love her.
3 fucking hours long.
Okay.
When I first watched it, I was
like... Well, that'll go by like that after this.
Well, when I first watched it, I was like, I'm so mad that you made this movie and people that don't have a science brain are supposed to... But they do a fantastic job if you... maybe it requires more than one viewing.
Okay.
But if you pay attention, you're not distracted. Because shit is fucking bonkers out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway,
For sure.
she's.
I know, I love her. Well, in this episode, when it ended last night, I just had tears streaming down my face because I don't think I've ever felt so. I felt very seen.
Modern Love.
It's called Modern Love, and each episode is its own individual story. You don't have to watch it in a row, but this is
How
episode 3.
How long has it been around?
I'm
Just
not
3
sure.
episodes?
No, I don't know. There were maybe 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay.
It was like 2019, 2020. This season 1 came out in 2019. So, she makes a reference to Trump being president. Well, she doesn't say his name, but she just says, with what's going on in the country right now. And that was 2019. It was the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was 2019, but she is someone who has bipolar disorder.
She does?
Yeah. Not in real life.
The character.
But the character does. And you see her, and it is... I could not describe the feeling more. And I've been given a bipolar diagnosis before. I struggle with I'm very much a homeopathic functional health type person. So I'm still figuring out
osteopathy.
I almost said that
Doctor
earlier, but I was like,
obstetrician.
Homeopath. Yeah, whatever. So I'm still trying to figure out my relationship with pharmaceuticals and antidepressants and all of that. But she is outperforms her peers at work. Sparkling, brilliant, dazzling personality, beautiful, ropes you in the first time you meet her, just full of life. And then there are days where she gets inside her apartment or her house, and it's like I'm watching a video of myself. Like, you just see her, she can barely walk. to get into bed, and then the curtains close and she's there for days. Like, that is something, it has taken me a long time to get to the point where I can say out loud, like, yeah, this is something I deal with. Being able to get out of bed at noon when I could have sat there all day feeling bad about myself and calling myself a piece
That
of shit.
fucking waste, the wasted time. Oh my God.
The amount of time I've wasted, and then the guilt and shame spiral you send yourself through, talking about how much time I've wasted. And then there it goes. That's the secret that lives in the dark. And you have to come up with all these reasons why you're telling your coworkers why you're late that morning, or why you didn't come back after lunch. And it's awkward and uncomfortable. And this episode handles it head on.
Nice.
She loses her job. Her coworker takes her out for coffee. And for the first time, she says it out loud, I'm bipolar. And her coworker is like, we're going to talk every day. I'm here for you. You should have told me sooner. I would have actually understood what was going on with you. And it just follows the theme of all of these conversations. Like, I can't fulfill my destiny of trying to like break these curses for the next generation if I don't talk about it and say it out loud and let my story, let the lightness dispel the darkness.
Yeah.
And don't let the secrets make you sick.
Last thing.
Okay.
And again, if we wanted to move past it,
No,
totally fine. Caffeine and alcohol.
Uh-huh. I'm back on the caffeine.
I saw the Starbucks thing, and I was like, "Fucking just stop! It's fine."
Yeah.
Actually, I was like, "Thank God," because every time, like, you're like, "I quit this." And
I
this
know.
And this
I
and
took
this
all
and
the
this.
fun out of my life.
And then I was like,
I love to punish myself.
"Well, I mean, whatever. I don't mean to celebrate a quote unquote weakness,
a relapse."
Yeah, but I was like, all right, cool, man. Like, at least
I'm back on the weed too.
Okay, cool,
No,
cool.
Alcohol and gluten are gone for good though.
Right.
For sure. I don't feel a desire to drink alcohol anymore.
Now, there was one or two sort of very brief smattering mentions of alcohol. Was that when you made the choice, had it been causing issues? Was it that an easy decision for you? What I'm not looking for details. I just want to know.
Yeah.
Vague.
There have been a couple times where I've stopped drinking. I've been like, ugh, I had a really bad night or something. And I'm like,
Sure.
Ugh, I need to cut this out. This is not doing me any good. And I'd go back to it. I wasn't in a place where I was like hiding my alcohol consumption. I wasn't like getting blasted on my way to work or anything.
Oh, yeah,
It was
right.
not,
Yeah.
I think I was really not that much different from a lot of us. Like, I was maybe drinking 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes not even that much. Solomon's always coming back from his recovery program with all these quips. And one of them that really stood out to me was, I wasn't, how does it go? I wasn't getting in trouble every time I drank, but every time I got in big trouble, alcohol was involved. And I had been taking all of these steps to really get a handle on my mental and physical health, to, make my home loving and peaceful. And for a long time, I wanted to stop drinking. I just could not even imagine, like, I'm a fundraiser, so
Yeah, how do you operate socially?
And I'm an extremely social person. Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine my life without alcohol. And so it wasn't like I had to go through all these steps to wean myself off of the addiction I felt to alcohol. It was more like, how am I going to situate my life without it? All my friends drink. Like, Solomon being sober is number one. I couldn't do it without him.
Right.
I couldn't do it without his encouragement, his understanding, his knowledge. I mean, he does this for a living.
Yeah.
So I'm so lucky that I have that built in. When I got back on mental health medication, one of the drugs I take, Wellbutrin, is known to help people who want to stop smoking and drinking. So the timing of that like worked out. It just sort of happened. And I do think it's really helped me. But it's just something where I don't think I really understood how much damage it was doing to my life.
Sure.
And then I had a bad night 4th of July last year, and my oldest daughter Charlotte heard and experienced me throwing up from alcohol.
Oh.
And I woke up the next day and she was like, her just saying to me, I don't think you should drink alcohol very much anymore. Maybe just like on special occasions. And I was like, ugh. That's a very bad example. And I have not wanted to drink again since. Like, I would never, ever, ever, ever want my kids to see alcohol take me any lower than that.
Yeah.
So I just like the desire is gone completely. And I'm thankful for that. Like, I'm thankful that I haven't had this, like, I have to go to meetings to keep myself off of alcohol. My life has gotten so much better. It's just like a no-brainer now.
Cool.
Like, not being hungover twice a week is incredible.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so good.
Yeah.
I continue to wrestle with weed.
Sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not great for my lungs, carrying around a little vape pen all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring that one out, but yeah, all out on the table. Like, that's the alcohol.
Cool.
So July 5th, it'll be a year.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I got to this place with caffeine, where I've been there for years now. I'm 2 cups of decaf in the morning.
Oh man.
And then I have a Red Bull, sometimes 2, around 5 o'clock. But if I drink, if I go to Chicago and stay with my sister and drink half a mug of whatever I am fucking a hot mess, retching.
Yeah.
It's just,
I had gotten to that point when I had cut out caffeine. The first few times I had it, I was like sick to my stomach, shaky. Like, I had really
that started happening just as my regular coffee drinking self.
Oh.
So I switched to half calf, and that worked for a little while.
Oh, man.
And then I switched to decaf, and I've been 10 years maybe.
But you can still like drink a Red Bull?
I can drink 2 of them.
Dang.
And no issues whatsoever.
Weird.
And it always tastes delicious, and it always wakes me up, like gets me right where I need to be.
Yeah.
But I cannot imagine not having my coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And I saw a meme recently where it was like, what you people that don't have caffeine, don't drink coffee in the morning, you just wake up and raw dogging life like the minute your feet, like that's insanity.
Yeah, sociopath.
And I feel that way too. I mean, there is a little bit of caffeine in decaf, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
well, that was really what did it truly, like, the 4th of July experience was bad, but what really did it for me was prior to that, not that, maybe in like a month before that, I was meeting with my functional doctor who led me through all these tests that helped me figure out I was celiac and all of this. I had mentioned to her, and I think I was begging her in my mind. I really wanted her to tell me to stop drinking. And I said something to the effect of like, well, what do you think about, drinking alcohol? It was summer at the time. So I was at the pool at Woodside drinking rosé with my friends all the time. And I was like, how is this affecting what I'm doing? And she was like, honestly, you're spending a lot of money and time on yourself trying to heal your gut and heal your mind, and every time you drink alcohol, you're going backwards. So,
wow. Well, I try not to overuse any phrase really, but this one is especially true. Like, give yourself some grace if a little bit of weed and some caffeine are your
thank you,
vices or weakness, whatever label.
They're both plants.
Or it could be way, way, way worse. You got a year milestone around the corner. I mean, it's fine. You're fine.
Thank you.
So that took forever.
That's okay. I knew it was going to.
Business is going well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's great.
New place. And birthday celebration, belated.
I just turned 37.
Like 2 days,
2 days ago.
Happy belated.
Thank you.
Are you a big You are. I think. Did we talk about that?
Birthdays?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love
Okay.
birthdays.
Okay.
My birthday, everyone else's birthdays.
Okay.
It's one of the first questions. When is your birthday, actually? I don't know if I've asked you that.
You, for whatever, maybe the initial time we were trying to schedule this, I had just had it.
Oh, that's right.
And
yeah, that's right.
you wished me happy birthday.
Okay, good.
It's in December. I just turned 50, and I have, foolishly, or otherwise, always felt this obligation to counterbalance the birthday energy that at least one, if not more, but especially one of my sisters. I mean, I want to be like, I don't capitalize anybody's name in my phone because I don't think we're that important. Like, yes, we're proper nouns, but
So you're saying you're a fun sucker when it comes to
no,
birthdays.
I'm not. I just don't.
You like to rain on other people's parades.
No, what I do is that I really try to minimize mine. Like, I don't do anything. Don't plan a thing. Don't buy me.
Are you a Sagittarius?
I am. So like, for my 50th, a small group of friends and family, we went and got cheeseburgers at a local dive bar. And I was like, and then they surprised.
But you're a Sagittarius, so I know deep down you're actually clocking and you're keeping an eye on who does remember your birthday, though. Like, who recognizes your birthday.
I mean,
and remembers
like
you. Maybe you won't admit it, but who's got your back on your birthday.
No, I have, 10 buddies plus me on a thread, and it's all like it's high school buddies, really. And everybody wishes when it's your birthday, well, happy birthday, dude, and everybody will chime in. That scratches most of the itch, and the rest is, a few texts or you write on my wall on Facebook. That's all. And I am not keeping score. I swear to God.
No, I don't mean keeping score. I just think you appreciate. I think you have a deeper appreciation than you're leading on.
The things that I just said.
Yeah.
If 0 people texted or whatever, I would be like,
yeah,
I would feel shitty.
Yeah,
like,
I can tell you're not a keep score kind of guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Happy belated to you.
Thank you. Speaking of, I love gifts. Giving gifts is my love language. I love celebrating birthdays.
Okay.
And it's probably time to talk about Taylor Swift.
Yes.
So can I give you this present?
You can.
Okay, cool. I'm really excited.
I
knew that you needed to open it on air because it's going to kick off our combo.
I don't know where to put this in regards to what we were just talking about. Like, this is not easy.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you hate it.
Well, opening
gifts is awkward for anybody, but call it out. It's fine. Just know that I'm having the time of my life watching you open it, so it's all good.
There's 2 things in here.
Yeah.
This feels like a book.
This is for your future Swift talks.
Taylor Swift, the stories behind the greatest hits.
Yes.
Very cool, and she's looking fly on the back too.
Yes.
Annie Zaleski, my bad. Huh.
And this takes you to Midnights. It doesn't have Tortured Poets in it.
Okay. Very cool. How did you come across this?
At Five Below.
Nice.
Do you ever go to Five Below?
Not.
Oh,
no, I don't.
I love Five Below. They have a great book section.
Do they?
That was just on accident. I went there looking for a picture frame.
Oh Yay! My God! If it's not making its way to the camera, it's a framed picture of Taylor Swift and that's Bob Weir, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw a picture of the 2 of them, and there was one other person.
I think it's his wife. It's his wife.
Okay, so you saw.
He posted it on his own Instagram. Yeah.
What did Bobby come up in our last conversation?
We talked about Grateful Dead.
Okay.
And my appreciation for Mark Wildman was the start of my appreciation for Grateful Dead.
Thank you.
But yes, I thought it was something great to bring in here. It could be a new decoration.
Oh, absolutely.
But this picture to me encapsulates what I think is so beautiful about what you do.
Oh, thank you.
This is a demonstration of music across generations. There are a lot of comparisons that you can draw between a Grateful Dead show and the Taylor Swift Eras tour, for one.
Yeah, a real good friend. In fact, we went to kindergarten together, and I saw her when I was first telling people about this and trying to get it off the ground, and she was like, she told me immediately, no, I take that back. She said she would, I'm not going to do that. And then by the end of the night, she's like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And then when it was time, I was like, all right, so she gave me a record that really changed my life. Jenny Lewis.
Oh yeah, we talked about this, Acid Tongue. Yeah.
And so somebody gave me that, and so I was like, I can't have. Now I'm not in balance. So I bought a copy of Acid Tongue and that frame.
I see.
And shipped it to her. I was so pissed because I took it to the UPS store, and they're like, we won't, if you don't, you can't not put your return address, because I wanted
be anonymous.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I had to, and anyway, she was like, what the, and so when I was like, okay, it's time, she's like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, what? Come on, you got to be kidding me. Now I'm like the biggest Jenny Lewis fan. And like when she was here for Boulevardia, she was like, I was like, she's not going to, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Don't quit trying to, anyway.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought, but in 2016 or 2017, Bob put out an album called Blue Mountain.
Okay.
It's so fucking amazing. He went to like some, OG cowpoke area of Wyoming and like hung around with ranch dudes around the campfire and like talked, like lived in the energy of, this is how like music was born. Like this is how it started. Yeah. Is that somebody would craft a song about a thing that just happened in their day, and it gets passed along, and so he went, and he's like, I feel like it's slipping away. It's slipping into non-existence. And he wrote this record, and it's not Grateful Dead adjacent at all. It's just its own thing, and it is
Blue Mountain.
Blue Mountain.
Okay, I'll check
Bob
it out.
Weir.
I'll check it out.
There's a gal that came and did an episode, and it was on her list, which I was thrilled.
Cool.
A, because I love that album, and B, everything else on her list was very, very heavy. Yeah. Which is a lot. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to take in one tune sometimes, and now 4 records of just, I'm like, okay, all right.
That's a lot.
I got it. Anyway,
you needed a good palate cleanser.
Yes.
Well, I just feel like this is the perfect embodiment of like, where else is there going to be a library of albums that ranges from like the most obscure electronica to Taylor Swift to, Dave Matthews, like the classics. I just think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
And now you've given me I gotta fucking get a present for somebody in the same fashion, right?
Oh my! Because the scales are tipped.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so Miss Swift, what is your initial discovery of her? Like for me, it's like a name that I would hear, and then you hear it enough, you're like, all right, I gotta see what that is, and then you see what it is, and you either stick with it and pursue it, or you're like, okay, now I know what it is, but I don't really care. I was like, oh, and then Lover came out, right? And You Need to Calm Down, and I was like, fuck, holy shit, man. And it took me a while to consume the whole, but anyway, that's how did you first discover her, and what is your Swifty trajectory looked like since that?
Swifty arc?
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely an arc, I would say. So ironically enough, you asked me earlier if I like country, and like, I used to listen to country all the time because I grew up in a small town. My high school and like early junior college friends, we all listened to country music. So my introduction to Taylor Swift she was the opener out at Sandstone. This must have been like 2006 or 2007, because I was a freshman or sophomore in college. And she was the opening act for Kelly Pickler and Jason Aldean, is that? No. Brad Paisley.
Okay.
And so Taylor at the time was 17 or 18. And this was when she first got out. And she would, after a show, she would go back to her tour bus and they would open it up and she would meet every single fan that wanted to meet her.
Wow. Can't do that today.
No, definitely not. And I remember distinctively all of us standing there like, do we want to take the chance to go stand in line and meet this girl? Like, we'd only heard a few songs. I think I actually had gotten her debut album. And I remember, if I'm remembering this correctly, I really wanted to go meet her. I was a big Taylor. Like, I liked Taylor, but she was like just the opener. And I think probably at the time I was just being like different, you know, like I didn't really care about Brad Paisley and them. And I was like, no, let's go do it. But we were like, nah, in the end, she wasn't that big of a deal. So we skipped it.
Oh, wow.
And to this day, I'm always like, I could have my picture with Taylor Swift, but I don't. Because at the time, no one knew who she was. Right. And she was like, even though she's only a year younger than me, at the time, she seemed so much younger than me. I thought she was a little kid. And yeah, so then I would say, you know, I lost track of Taylor Swift. Like Fearless, Speak Now came out, Red. Like I listened to whatever was on the radio. That's cool. 1989 came out and I really liked 1989. But still was not like a Swiftie. I was like, oh, this is good music.
God, that record the way that record opens is so
I know, it's so good.
It is like not lost its gleam. And I'm not, you know, I'm still building my Swiftydom.
Right.
But, you know, it's always good for this jolt. Just
it gets you.
New York.
I had a really hard time not putting night, and I almost contacted you to add it. But ultimately, like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
There's too many skips.
And for me, somebody who's not, you know, like I said, I'm still building this thing. Too many skips that are big hit. It's like, I don't fucking want to hear.
Yeah.
Please don't play Shake It Off.
Yeah.
You know, or blank space on that.
Yeah.
Just they're fine.
Wildest Dreams.
But it's like I don't need to.
Yeah, I do love Welcome to New York, though. I just listened to that like 2 days ago. Yeah, so that album passed. Lover came out, and that was when I really got into Taylor Swift. And loved that album. Listened to it a ton.
Cornelia Street so much.
Oh, yeah, I love that one. I love False God.
The way that she can, you know, whatever you call that, falsetto. I don't know what that's called, but
and that was definitely like a big moment for Taylor Swift. She switched timelines in her career, I feel like, with Lover, like, and I don't want to
that's the first one that's outside of
Big Machine.
What the dude that she's on her own now.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
But you're about to say I don't want to get.
There's a whole conspiracy about Taylor Swift being gay. I don't know if you and I could talk for hours about it, and I'm not going to. But if you follow the Gaylor conspiracy, there is a moment that happens where, if you're buying into it, she had a secret relationship. She had a secret relationship with Karlie Kloss. They're getting ready to come out with it, and the conspiracy goes, it was right before she was supposed to be out on New Year's Eve to roll out this huge song with Brandon Uriel from Panic at the Disco, the You Need to Calm Down, You'll Never Find Another Like Me. And supposedly that was when the industry told her, you can't be gay. We'll make you the biggest star possible, but you've got to follow what we want for you. You have to follow this script of like American pretty girl dating men. So there's a conspiracy that happens. And then and then
I just have to say one thing. And this is often my first jumping point in the land of conspiracy. Like, humans are fucking weak.
I know.
Like the amount of trust,
and
just the hundreds of thousands of people that would have to like keep it under lock and key, tell zero people, and it's just no, there's no chance.
If there's anyone though in the world that is living a totally like controlled existence, and all of these like, there's a lot there. Anyway, this is why I wasn't going to get into it, because I can get sucked into it, and I'm really trying to stay out of it.
I'm just over here.
I know you are really
You're
baiting
like,
me. I know.
Squirrel.
But her career kind of takes a different path, in my opinion, starting with Lover. And you'll notice all my favorite albums come after that. And I think it's because I appreciate her. Like, she really, she gets more raw and real and vulnerable. And so I watched the Long Pond studio recording of Folklore. She did a documentary that aired during the pandemic, and I loved that. And I listened to Folklore quite a bit. I did not listen to Evermore as much. Evermore came out. Did Evermore come out before Folklore? Yes. Evermore came out like in the summer, and Folklore came out
same
at the
year,
end of the year. Yeah,
right?
same year. Just like 6 months later.
Yeah. And a lot of folks, there's a couple dudes on my thread that are like, Evermore like got me and my family through pandemic.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Evermore is known as her most underrated album.
Okay.
Folklore is her most highly acclaimed, like in terms of, like Pitchfork gave it an 8, which is, I think, might be the highest rating they gave a Taylor Swift album. But yeah, like, loved Folklore. When Midnights came out, I didn't get as excited about it. What made me love Midnights was my oldest daughter.
Okay.
Like, she loved it. And it was only by like being I didn't like it at first. I didn't really like Midnights. And then the more I was like forcibly exposed to it, I just fell in love with it and loved it. And then Tortured Poets, as you know, that was the first thing I wrote down when you first messaged me about favorite albums in general.
I was like, too soon, lady.
I know. It had just come out. But I stand by it. Like, that it is her best work. She is like, she's one of the best writers. I think she's one of the best writers of our time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I understand with what you just said about the Long Pond Sessions documentary concert film Disney Plus put out. I didn't compare Long Pond with the actual Folklore release to try to comb for differences. Are there any that stand out that you know of for sure? Or
the biggest thing is that the Long Pond studio is not re-recorded. It's first take, the whole thing. So you hear all kinds of imperfections. Like when she sings Peace, which is probably my favorite song on the album, there's like a whistle in her teeth at the very end. And at first you're like, well, what the I would have taken that out. But I read later and realized that's all one take.
That's great.
It's totally raw. So
very cool.
Yeah.
In my very limited lens, there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of that happening in the record. I think there's so much, and you can just fucking, and so when you do that, like, you better be proud and give yourself some
there
grace.
Are so many. The reason I like specifically made a note to reach out to you and say, like, this is the version that I want to be on my list.
I would have been so mad if you hadn't done that.
Oh, thank you.
Even if they were like, you can't even tell the difference, I would have been like, that's not we're not talking about the same record. Yeah.
No, they're very different. And I prefer many of the tracks on the Long Pond. Like, she just, I don't know. It's more authentic.
Okay. You jumped. Let's see here. Do I even have these? No, I don't. Well, give you that since we've already sort of
I brought some notes for myself
touched on
too.
it. Okay. So please, just if you want to jump into notes, if you have a random, just share it. Otherwise, I'm just moving through.
Lead.
Okay.
You lead.
So that was the Long Pond Sessions 2020.
Are we done with Folklore now?
We don't have to
be. You're saying?
We don't have to be.
Hold on, let me just look through my facts that I pulled together to make sure that I get all the good stuff.
I'm glad you did this because I meant to tell you, like, and not in a weird way, but please come into the room as though you're the expert.
Okay, good.
I mean,
Good.
I'm not. I know most of her music, but not well, right? A lot of it I don't know well.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I'll kind of skim through this. It was entirely written in quarantine. She did not intend to put out an album at all, but she said that this album spilled out of her during lockdown. 11 of the songs were created with Aaron Dessner from The National without them ever being in the same room. So she would write the lyrics and then or would write some composition and she would send it to him and he would send her back just like fully composed, beautiful tracks. And that's how it was built.
wow.
That was really interesting.
It's him and Jack Antonoff, right?
Yes.
Those
are
two, the primary. Okay.
Yeah. Her boyfriend at the time, Joe Alwyn, has some songwriting credits on it, but anyway, that's also something I don't really want to get into. She had to trick her label for this. She didn't want anyone to tell her no. So she put all this together and then put it out there. So
what?
Yeah. And I don't know. I want to look more into this
Didn't
to
want
understand.
anyone. It's just this is my vision. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a fucking seasoned vet
Yeah.
in this business by the time I'm putting this out.
Yeah.
So my vision should be trusted. Is that okay?
100%. Because it was her moving into, I think also she faced so much backlash when she left country and went to pop that this was her like dipping her toes into the folk space and the alternative space. And yeah, I think she wanted it to be all her. She'd been burned a lot.
Trick her label. It's fucking crazy.
The Last Great American Dynasty on this album, which is my number one favorite Taylor Swift song probably of all time.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think it's the most interesting. I think it's probably one of the best, most creative stories that's been turned into song. And it's all true. It's all based on her home in Rhode Island. And it had previously been owned by two very high profile people. One was
Jubu's.
What?
Jubu's?
Jubu's, no. The Standard Oil Company, one of the richest heirs to that, post divorce went and bought that house. And he like a lot of history was poured into the home through him. And then this other woman, Rebecca, who was an actress, like fled her career and spent all of her money away in this home, like hosting rich card games with Salvador Dali. At one point, she filled the pool up completely with champagne and had a party. She built a famous ballet in New York, blew through all of her money, and was just known as being this like wild, crazy party girl, got a bad reputation. Taylor Swift bought this home and writes about Bill and Rebecca. And I'm getting goosebumps as I'm thinking about it. I just think it's so powerful because at the end she says, when she's talking about Rebecca, she says, "There goes the maddest woman this town has ever seen. She had a marvelous time ruining everything." And then it says, hang on. Da-da-da-da. Men and women with madness, they're men in bad habits, and then it was bought by me. So it was like the house sat dormant from all of this craziness, and she comes in with that like genius trick of like, you think the entire time you're listening to a story, and then in the last 3 seconds you realize this is a story about her. So I just think it's beautiful. I think that's my... Oh, and the fact that it won Album of the Year. So she broke a record and became the first female, maybe the first artist to have 3 albums of the year. And this was her third, and it was pretty remarkable because it had no tour, no promotion. It was completely done in secret.
Yeah.
And then Album of the Year. So
wow.
Yeah. That's all I have for folklore.
Cool. Yeah. So Midnight's 2022. I'm sorry. The Long Pond Sessions, 34 songs, 134 minutes. Like, so much material.
It's huge. Yeah.
Midnight's 10th of 11. Studio releases 13 tracks, 44 minutes. If you don't get into Lavender, 3 a.m. Till Dawn, and late night editions, the hype leading up to the release of this was enormous. I was feeling a certain way because I had just kind of gotten in with Lover.
Okay.
And was like, I gotta.
Oh, yeah.
You can't put out new. I gotta do all the back, and then you put out Folklore and Evermore. I gotta. So it comes out, and I gave it. Obviously, I knew like Antihero and one or two other tracks, but I was like, I don't know how I feel about this album, but it was because all of that was clouding.
Yeah.
And then once I had some time to sort of get my legs under me and come back to it, I was like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
This is really, really incredible. You're aware of the hype that's happening leading up to it. And you, at first, were not
Just
super
wasn't that into it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just wasn't that into it.
What was any idea what the turning point was?
No, I really don't know. I think.
I mean, you mentioned your girl was playing it a lot, so that was giving you exposure.
I think seeing her appreciate it, like she definitely, like seeing it through her eyes, I definitely appreciated it a lot more. I think it might just be like a lot of the hype maybe turned me off initially. Like the song Antihero came out and we heard it every 5 minutes and I was like, oh my God, this is old. Not to mention, like, it did that classic Taylor Swift thing of, like, kind of triggered me in my own, like, anti-hero personality. Like, you'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. And I'm like, what do you know? Like, I think I was just very turned off by it. It was like Taylor Swift is all of a sudden being really vulnerable. And, putting out her, like, she's a huge dork with imposter syndrome who, has everything she could possibly want, but still hates her life a lot of the time. And I think I was like, whatever, but I love it. Obviously it's one of my favorites now.
There was actually James from Jam and Nuggets Music in Sedalia, they have a little mom and pop. It started off with a record collection in their garage, and then they bought a storage container, and then another one, and then they were like out of room, and his wife was like, "You should quit your job. We're gonna have a brick and mortar," and he was like, "That sounds awful and terrifying," but they did, and they're chugging along, and whatever kind of fucking margin you can make in a retail store these days, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was like. I was like, do you get any? I always ask, do you get any fish? And no, man. If we do, it's gone like that. And I was like, what about Taylor? And he's like, I'm kind of pissed at her right now, and sort of talked about like, record store day releases and how she put a bunch of things out like a few days before and could have waited. And then it's like, so then there's all these midnights, there's all these different editions, there's the Target.
Yeah.
There's just so much that it doesn't really, we can't play. Like, it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal, but I was like, that's a fascinating perspective to have.
Well, and I think that played into how I was feeling too, because it was also the time the Eras Tour was rolling out and she was, Ticketmaster was breaking and she supposedly was so mad about it. And you're like, yeah, right. So there's a huge part of that, but she actually covers this in Mastermind where she is really like owning that, like, don't you know I'm a mastermind? Because she's a female. Calculated smart business moves that she's made in the past get relabeled as like being bitchy. She sings about it in The Man. But in Mastermind, she she talks a lot about that, about being calculated and being calculating, and how like women across centuries have had to do it this way. Like, it's the only way I could possibly be successful. I have to be a mastermind. I have to be, pragmatic.
I have to trick my record label.
Yes, I have to trick my record label. I have to roll out my album a week before Charlie XCX does in London, and I have to, blot her out of the competition. I've got to sell my vinyl the day before record store day. So she is an absolute empire, and it's not all her. She's got a whole team of people around her making these like multi-billion-dollar decisions. And it's something I wrestle with as like, it's it's taken me a long time to like say I'm a Swiftie, because it's hard to, it's hard to admit that you love someone who rides her personal private jet all the time in this economy, in this climate, and who's so big, but it's so powerful. I can't help it.
So what sets Midnights apart from all of the releases not named Folklore that preceded it?
What do you mean?
Like, you talked about her debut, Fearless, Red, Speak Now. And I guess we can throw Evermore in there, because Folklore made your list, your top 3. What is it about Midnights that is, in your mind, better than all of the rest of those?
Well, I think all the rest of those, even the Taylor's versions of them, are still sounds, lyrics, production, musicality, artistry of a highly curated, highly filtered record label. And I'd like to believe that as Taylor Swift has found more independence, that she can just be more authentic.
She's honing her craft.
And her art, which is writing. And when we get to Tortured Poets, we'll talk more about that. But I think also this is where her and Jack Antonoff go like full tilt on Midnights, I think. I mean, they go berserk. It's like they made it on a coked out night at 3 a.m. the whole time.
3 a.m. edition.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Labyrinth, the sounds of it are supposed to mimic a panic attack. Or, I don't know, like in Maroon, she's having this like argument with herself about whether it was scarlet or maroon, and the way that they blend it together, you can hear it. She's like, no, it was scarlet. No, it was just maroon, bitch. Like, it's just maroon. Like, it's not as beautiful as you're making it out to be. And I just think she like gets a little more, she just gets a little more unhinged with this one. And I think I appreciate that.
Okay. So, I mentioned it's a little, I had to do it, but it's a little foolish to talk about the hype going into Midnights, because really, in hindsight, that hype was nothing compared to the hype for Tortured Poets. And I don't mean to leap ahead if you have Midnights notes to share.
No, I think I'm good. Although I'm reminding myself, I remember the turning point. I think I remember my turning point with Midnights. My daughter fell in love with the song You're on Your Own, Kid. And that was the song. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Like, that was on in the car. And Taylor Swift said that the lyrics, I hosted parties and starved my body, were some of the hardest lyrics she's ever had to write. But that song, it really, it just strikes a chord. I don't know what it is. And I think it was also like hearing my daughter love it. And it's like one of the first times I really saw my daughter like understanding some more mature ideas about herself. I just kind of loved it.
Well, as a parent, that's also a striking title, right? Like, that's not.
Yeah. So that's it. I think that's
okay. So Tortured Poets in 2024, 16 tracks, 65 minutes, plus the anthology with another 15 songs, 60-ish minutes. So Sophia, installment 1 of Becoming a Swiftie, was like so mad. Like, she drove here directly from a therapy appointment in St. Louis to do this, and then we went and got a burger, and she crashed and then went home, and told me like she put in PTO request, and so we chose a day, and they got back and they're like, too many other people are out, you can't, and so we had to reschedule. And when it was official, she was like, I think this is the biggest flex I've ever I was like, fucking bring it. But she was so, she has plenty on her plate at all times, so give her some grace in that regard. But she was mad, like I could fucking feel it in message exchanges with her about tortured poets.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan anymore. Fuck her.
What?
You know, I've spent all this energy defending this fucking billionaire. Da da da. And like, I let it. Just okay. That's
She came back around.
yeah,
right?
she did. And Christy, who did the second installment, I think premeditated, had her bestie come over like immediately whenever it was.
Yeah.
I think they probably were streaming. I don't know that they went and bought, but they like shared AirPods or something and like sat on the
to it
couch
together.
and wept.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I could get more different.
Too different.
So I put it on,
Okay.
and I was like, fucking. First of all, like, of course, you know, it comes out and it's like, oh, there's a whole other record.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it, that's now you just doubled the material that I
Right.
gotta.
Tell me about it.
And I didn't make it all the way through on listen one. I was like, this is snoozy, and I'm getting like similar energy track to track to track. But I was one of the very first to say, without question, Down Bad is the strongest track. Like, first listen, and a lot of
You
people.
said that on.
Did I?
Yes,
Okay.
you said that. You said something about not liking the album much, but damn, Down Bag is a
Yeah,
good
and
song.
people were like, "Really, Down Bad?" And I was
yeah.
like, "I mean, it's fucking slaps. What are you talking about?"
That's my daughter's favorite track.
Okay, so, you know, I haven't spent enough time with it to say anything that means anything. It's breathed a little bit for me, and I'm starting to feel less of that similarity, and each song is sort of starting to become its own thing, but I'm still a long ways away. But man, I mean, so what was, did you consume it right away? Like, was it immediately awesome? Like, tell me all the things,
Yeah.
please.
Well, first I'll tell you that one of my talking points that I brought here today addresses exactly what you're saying, which
Okay.
is that she referred to this album as a museum of her grief, not meant to be consumed linearly. She specifically wrote it so that people would listen and re-listen. And she wanted people to listen to it from different emotional entry points.
Wow.
Because there are so many eras of her life, I think, wrapped up into this. Like, this is, I mean, I think there were like over 100 other poems that she wrote that didn't make it into this. Like, that's why she ended up having to do the second one. But yeah, I just think that this covers such a spectrum. It's not like Midnights, where it's like every song is something I wrote in the middle of the night, or Folklore, which is like, these are stories I made up, you know, and I turned them into like fairy tale stories.
What is
Folklore.
the midnight becomes my, what is that?
Midnight becomes my afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fucking
so good.
preach.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't, I'm trying to think. Did I listen to it at midnight when it came out? I do believe I laid in bed and I listened to it, but I woke up the next morning, and that's when I discovered there was a whole second album. And I was cooking breakfast for my family, listening to it just so intensely.
Which, by the way, you know, 2 days off from a year on the nose today with Mark Wildman.
Right.
And then I think 4 days.
Okay.
Like, I think this came
That's
out on the
when this came
19th.
Yeah, it did.
So, like, just weird,
Ooh,
right?
that is weird.
Right?
Yeah.
Put that in your
Interesting.
past life
In
pipe.
my woo woo. Yeah. Put that in your past life pipe and smoke it. Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I
it's
interrupted.
okay. No, I was listening
You
to
woke
it
up the next day
intently.
and discovered there was another album.
Yes. And as I was listening to it, I was like, oh my God, yes, this is so good. This is the best. Like, I mean, I was won over by it. Every single track, I loved this album when it came out. And I remember a lot of my friends, like my friend Helena, who's another huge Taylor Swift fan, I can quote her. She said, "Not a bop to be found." And I think it was like everyone had these expectations of like, we need a fun it's almost summer. Taylor's got an album coming out. And it was not fun. It was not fun to listen to.
Yeah, there's sort of a fabric of melancholy, like wherever you want to look.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find.
I have to interrupt you. There was a really funny meme I saw yesterday shared on Facebook that reminded me of Taylor Swift and myself. And it said, I remember reading the word melancholy as a kid and thinking, this word's going to be huge for me. Which is so true, because she uses the word melancholia in her Lavender Haze.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think I remember listening to it. Hold on, I've got to pull up. I screenshotted my favorite lyrics from the album.
Oh, great.
Just because I think it's so good. This reminds me a lot of Sylvia Plath, which...
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just love her.
Really?
I know. See, I'm a huge depressive. And I just think that these were the two verses that really I was like, oh God, Taylor Swift is so good. She's so dark and no one's going to like this, but like this like good on her. Like she put her real stuff out. So this is in How Did It End? Say it once again with feeling, how the death rattled breathing, silenced as the soul was leaving, the deflation of our dreaming, leaving me bereft and reeling, my beloved ghost and me, sitting in a tree, DYING. And I just love it. It's like a really powerful part of the song. Wow. And that's
a lot to digest.
Yeah.
Just without also being able to
Well, and it's very Sylvia Plath like.
Yeah.
And then this is in Who's Afraid of Little Ol' Me, where she says, I was tame, I was gentle, till the circus life made me mean. Don't you worry, folks, we took out all her teeth. And I think that she's really biting back about the restraints that have been put on her throughout her career. The shit she's had to deal with like the Kanye shit and the Scooter Braun and, all of these labels she's been given as a bitch or as a witch. Like there's all these conspiracies about her being a reincarnated witch and like...
Stop.
Have you ever looked up Zena LaFay?
I don't know what that is.
This is one conspiracy that I'll get behind. So Zena LaFay is the daughter of the founder of the Satanic movement in the United States.
Okay.
She left the church in 1988. She was a singer. She was a performer. I also, I'm not a Satanist at all.
Did you, when you were here last time, did you at one point call yourself Conspiracy Theory Light?
Yes. Yes, I'm Conspiracy Theory Light. But this is the one that I could like, if I could get down with this. But her dad was the founder. I'm not a Satanist, but I do believe they're completely misunderstood. I think people have this idea that's been Christianized, like what Satanism is. Yeah. Satanists actually are very much about like universal love. And anyway,
this dude just posted, all the stores have been record store day. They here's some of the releases, and one of them has that word in a song title or album title, and they got like fucking calls from this.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tiny little... Anyway.
Well, there's a conspiracy that Zena LaFay has like reincarnated herself or cloned herself as Taylor Swift because she disappeared in 1988. Taylor Swift is born in 1989. And I'm just going to show you. This is what Zena LaFay looks like.
That top left picture there. I mean...
Pretty wild, right?
In that one picture, yeah. The rest of
and there's lots more. Like she wore her hair in a braid the way Taylor does. So
wow.
Oh yeah, a lot of weird stuff. And she's a singer and a guitar player.
The back of that.
Yes.
The back cover.
Yes, like the back of Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. there's all these conspiracies, and I just think that she like really leans into this. Like she's like, who's afraid of little old me? Like, you think I'm a witch? You should, like, when you're scared of me, you should be.
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of respect that, and I just when it came out, I loved it,
So
and I still do.
How many listens do you think does it take for you to get to a spot where you like have a pretty solid handle on all of the lyrics? Are you following along?
Does that ever I don't know that you ever get there.
Well, you're right. But I mean, at some point you have a healthy majority of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could probably
the surprises what actually the lyrics are.
Yeah.
As opposed to what you've been singing wrong for 10, the list of surprises diminishes.
Right.
So like more or less with these 3 records.
Because I used to think Taylor was saying boys only want love if it's Georgia. But she says boys only want love if it's torture. And that's from 1989, and I only just figured that out like in the last year.
The most profound one that comes to mind for me in her work is got a long list
of ex-lovers,
but I'm
got a list of Starbucks lovers. Yes. Yeah. Cruel Summer has a misheard lyric that I only just recently learned too, but I can't remember what it is, and it would take me a minute to figure it out.
But more like you took 2 screenshots of some of your favorite lyrical passages, so you have
that was just as I've been listening to it, knowing I was coming here, I was like, oh, that hits hard. I'm gonna save that.
So I say all that to ask you this question, because I haven't probed deep enough to find it on my own, but there's a song, and I already forgot which of these 3 it's on, but the title of the song is like 3 people's names, or 4 different names.
Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus.
Yeah. What's happening there? What is that?
So interesting you're asking about that, because I've had that song on my mind for the last like week. I think I even Googled it. I think I Googled trying to figure out. Again, now we're going to have to get back into Gaylor.
Oh, shit.
I mean, what does that mean? Your hologram stumbled into my apartment in the hands of the hair of some internet starlet named Sam or Sophia, named Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, and I just watched it happen. So she's talking about watching a love, and it's very non-gender specific. It also, it makes you think about her relationships with Matt Healy and Joe Alwyn and like what's up there. Both of them, after their relationships are famously with internet starlets now. But again, I happen to think that song's about Carly Kloss because she says something about kissing a boy who would have bullied you in school or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, this song is not about a man.
Right.
This song is about a woman that she's in love with. But there's tons of those. Lavender Haze, this 1950s shit they want from me. Lavender is the color of lesbians. Yeah. And she claims that lavender haze is a term that she learned from Mad Men, and it was an old 40s term or something. But okay.
Did we talk about Between Two Ferns when you were here last?
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
And the Cosby.
Oh, wait, I don't know.
So
we did talk about Between Two Ferns.
He opens up interview with what's his name? Dude, St. Louis dude, the primary John Hamm. And he says the suit from Mad Men. What's the character's name that he plays?
I don't know. I've actually never seen Mad Men.
Okay, me either. But he says that character's suit is in the Smithsonian. He's like, it is, and he's like right next to the Cosby sweater.
Oh my god!
And John Hamm fucking snorts.
Is it really? Though is that a real thing, or he was just like a joke?
No, he's just. I think the suit is in the Smithsonian, but he was like,
"That's hilarious."
Because I think there was a lot of, not a whole lot of women's rights being represented in that show. I think it was like, we're gonna drink scotch in our office, and if I tell you to come in here and let me fuck you,
exactly,
damn well better get in here on the double. Other tortured poets notes.
Let me see. Hold on. We've talked about a lot of this. Yeah, I did right. She wrote over 100 poems that didn't make it onto this track list. No, I think that's about it. I just think I think it just transcends our like current times. And I think that it's like, I think that that's why it's not a lot of Swifty's favorite albums, but I mean, it's probably one of my top favorites of all time.
Very cool.
So,
Very cool.
yeah.
So I've got a new set of questions for you.
Okay.
Maybe not new to you, but I didn't ask them of you last time. So,
Okay.
Fear Factor. You know the show, right?
Where you have to do gross, yucky stuff for money. Like sit in a tub of spiders.
Yes. Okay, so there's no prize. This is not for television, but you just in a real life situation find yourself face to face with your absolute worst fear. And you got to get through it to whatever, survive or save, you know what I mean? Like there's no detour. You have to what would be your worst fear factor scenario?
Ooh. Huh. This is so, I don't know. I have to really think about this. My kids are always they're the only ones who ever ask me what's your biggest fear. And I always tell them my biggest fear is that they're not happy.
Oh.
So
God,
that's
don't
not really.
that sounds
I
like
know that's not a fun fear factor.
Fuel for their teenage years to
I
just
know.
fucking lob at your face.
I know.
Thought you wanted me to be happy, bitch.
It's already started. It's already started.
I tell you. So sometimes people do struggle with this one, and I always share mine. Just
Okay, yeah,
in
tell
the
me.
Hopes that it primes the pump. Kill Bill. When Mickey Rourke chloroforms Uma Thurman and fucking buries her alive.
Oh my God.
And she's a fucking badass. So she gets out of the coffin, but then immediately 6 feet of soil, a lot of which, she goes into her throat and she's got to.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I would lose my fucking. Or same with the little Titanic submarine thing that went.
Oh yeah.
Like I would lose. My mind.
Claustrophobia.
It's more panic and helplessness.
Like you're stuck. You cannot move. You can't get out.
And I know that my brain can't be like, that's all right. We're gonna step by step.
Yeah. I mean, I have severe car anxiety, like on the highway. Like if someone else is if I can drive, I will. And if I can avoid being the passenger with anyone, I will. So it would probably be some kind of like high speed car chase, like highway. You got to get from here to there without crashing, but you're going like 100 miles an hour and everyone's driving like maniacs. That would be my fear factor.
My boy had 3 games at North Kansas City High this past weekend. A 3 and a 5 on Saturday, and a 3 o'clock on Sunday. Anyway, his mother took him and like 4 of his friends. Like had an 8 o'clock track meet also up north, and they all came back, and then they all went with him to go to his game, but they had to get home. So they couldn't stay for a second. And, I was wrapping up an interview. I had the celebration of life. I was wrapping up an interview. So I couldn't go to the 3. And so I was like, hey, if you're catching up on texts and you're coming back to drop all these boys off, like, I'll just jump in with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And she's like, yeah, sure. Well, she took the absolute worst possible route to drop all these boys off, but picked me up first. And she just fucking zipping and, like, I can
and
see.
she gave you the ride, so you've got to hold your tongue.
Oh, this is a years long, like, what? Nothing. And I'm just over there like, I can see the way that her, like, seconds before I know you're going to jump into that lane, but this fucking lane, you can't. And what do you mean? And then now we're stuck.
I know.
God damn.
I know.
I'm
well, you can't tell people that you're nervous in cars because I swear, even if they're the kindest person, they're going to be offended and they're going to test your limits. And they're going to, I hate it.
Test your limits?
Yes. If you tell people you're scared in cars, they're please.
As my father said 4 million times in the years leading up to me driving, this is a 2,000-pound weapon we're talking about. There's no
Yeah.
fucking around.
Yes.
Like, so I, you know,
Well, thank you for respecting, because for real, like this is I've considered getting hypnotized. I need to.
my
I've got to
sister
figure out a way to get out of this.
is, she, you know, would say this, I'd rather drive. And I have wanted her
Yeah.
to ride with me to see that I'm,
Yeah.
even if I speed from time to time, I'm a pretty defensive driver. I'm always
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. She can't get out of that space. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's
just,
so hard. It's so hard.
okay. So American music.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the bookends of the beginning and today.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter the formation or the genre, but somewhere in that scope, you have to decide who the greatest American musical artist of all time is.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Only one?
A band, a person, yes, yeah.
What are the, like, best of... This is just like your question, to come up with the 5 best... You know, what
I want to know,
best?
something is sprouting off in there.
American of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to not say Taylor Swift if I'm sitting
Absolutely
here.
fair. Absolutely
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
I mean,
numbers
truly,
don't lie.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, if I'm just thinking factually about the greatest American artist of all time, I don't know that anyone could really match her.
I asked Till Willis this a couple of episodes ago, and I thought for sure, I'd silently pegged that he was going to say Bob Dylan. We've definitely talked about Bob Dylan, and I love this. I've had a whole life of being a Bob Dylan guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, probably Louis Armstrong. And I was like, oh my God, that is absolutely the correct answer.
Yeah.
Because in the little bit of jazz deep diving that I've done, I've come across, like, I've just always known what a wonderful world. And as a very small person, that song
Yeah.
like permeated
So
my
good.
soul. Like, this should be in a medicine cupboard
Yeah.
for whenever you
Yeah.
have the blue. Anyway, but folks, like dozens and dozens and dozens of folks respected, with numbers, say, if it wasn't for Louis, and just in the door opening department, and it's like,
Yeah.
we need to, back in that
Yeah.
death doula,
Yeah.
we need to start talking about Louis a little bit more. But
Yes.
Taylor's also a perfect answer.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny because my mind first went to jazz, and also it went to this. It was like Encyclopedia Britannica Windows 98 computer game I had as a kid, and I remember I was always like tooting around in the music section to learn about music, and there was this feature that I remember where you could click on each country, and it would play a sound clip of music that represented that country and would give you some like blurb, and what came up for the United States was Miles Davis.
Oh, wow.
And it was
Okay.
or no, it was BB King. BB
Okay.
King. Sorry.
Yeah,
BB
yeah.
King. And it was all about blues.
Yeah.
So in my mind, like my first thought, and with my jazz, I was like, I almost said Charlie Parker, but I'm thinking American. What's more American than making billions of dollars off a global tour?
Right.
And
Did you never got to see any Eras Tour?
No, we went for Charlotte's birthday. This was when this Eras Tour timeline, like all of this was about when I had quit my job and we were like Uber Eatsing, so poor. And Charlotte really wanted to go, and there was just no way I was going to be able to afford it. So I got her tickets to the Union Station like movie version,
Cool.
and we all dressed up and went to it.
Nice.
I know she deep down so badly wanted to go. And I made a personal choice to go to Beyonce over the Eras Tour. Like, I had friends that were all going, and I had the opportunity to go to the Renaissance tour with my friend who like let me pay her like $50 at a time for the ticket. Like, it took me 6 months or more to pay her back. But I don't regret that. I loved the Beyonce show.
Cool. Very cool.
No Eras Tour.
So you're granted a quick sit down with the almighty being to just chew the fat about the universe
Yeah.
and this life and past life and over just it's quick. It's a cup of coffee. And somewhere in the midst of it, this being shows you this is what the afterlife looks like. But you don't like it. Nevertheless, the coffee is gone and your meeting is over and you go back to your life. When you go to bed that night, are you thinking, tomorrow I wake, I'm fucking whole new chapter, whole new outlook, or you know what? Who cares? I'm just going to keep doing the same thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, I guess my answer would be more of the first one. I think I would be like, oh, I'm determined to change the course of my destiny, so I end up somewhere at a different afterlife. That would be my.
Okay.
I got to go somewhere else. I gotta change tracks.
Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. Okay. Did we talk at all last time about liking your own social media posts?
No.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't.
Okay, so you do have an opinion on that. I'm
Absolutely.
glad to. People are like, what?
I don't understand why people. I always wonder, do people think that helps boost it, or are they doing it on accident, or do they think you're supposed to like your own post?
I don't think it's ever an accident. I think there are people that believe it boosts it, and I think there are people that like, I want you to see that I
I don't like that.
like that, as if I would ever air my inner dialogue about the rules of writing.
Yeah.
And what is
Yeah.
that's under fucking lock and key. How about red receipts? Do you have an opinion on that?
I like it when I can see if someone else has read my message, but I don't like it if they can see if I read mine.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, I have red receipts. I turned red receipts on my daughter's phones because I especially like it then. But I'm still sitting here. That's a $5.99. That's my unread text
I'm really
messages.
upset that you showed me that.
Calls $162.
I mean,
yeah,
$5.99.
599 unread text messages.
Like, you actually don't know what those messages have in them?
I mean, I'm just like, I've got my important people pinned on top.
Who are the
And then
unfortunate
it's just a
folks?
ton of like, I just don't respond very often. What was your original question?
What's your opinion on liking your own social media posts, and therefore, do you have an opinion on red receipts?
Oh, red receipts. Yeah, no. Please do not expose me. Like, also, just know that if you text me, like, it's probably not going to be read.
You haven't ever left me hanging with a messenger situation.
The closer you get to me, the more I'll ignore you.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, yeah. My closest friends and family get it the worst.
Don't fucking call me then if you need to know.
No, I'm just kidding. I am getting a lot better. I am truly. That's not a very good. I know that doesn't really help my case, but I am getting better at it.
Anytime somebody shares a screenshot as like a Facebook post or whatever, and they're like, "Can you believe?" I'm like, that's what we're addressing? Yeah. How about the 132?
It happens at any time, and I kick myself every time. I'm like, I just need to scratch that out.
Or fucking crop it.
Yeah, there's not a single time I share a screenshot and someone's like, forget that. Let's talk about this number up in the corner.
Yeah, you sociopath.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Fine. Last but not least, you wake up tomorrow and you learn that you have inherited $85 million. What are you doing first? Like, what's of utmost importance?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I think, I would probably pay off any debt that I have, I guess,
yeah.
Honestly, we don't have credit cards. Like, I actually don't have a lot of debt. I just pay off my student loans.
Nice. Congratulations.
I have but I'm not good with money. Like,
right.
I love spending money. So I guess I would like make sure I didn't have any debt, and then I would just be more focused on like I would buy really cool art. I would go see really good music.
I love that.
I would want to create spaces for art and music. Like I don't mean
Oh,
to sound
man.
all Mother Teresa, like
I
I really mean this. Like I would just get to enjoying the pleasures of life, which
Very
is
cool.
usually like art and music.
Awesome.
And yeah.
I love that answer. Anything Taylor wise that has popped up for you that I meant to, or anything from your notes?
Let me review it again just to double check. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we really talked.
Okay.
I will say, as we were talking about Luke Skippy, I admire and respect him for the same reasons that I admire and respect Taylor Swift. And Lana Del Rey said this about Taylor. Someone asked her, "Why do you think Taylor is as successful as she is?" And her answer was, she wants it better. She wants it more than anybody else. And that's how I feel about Luke too. Like all the planning, all the work that goes into it, like they just want it bad enough.
Yeah.
That they're willing to actually
It's super
do it.
admirable.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So I guess that's my final parting words. Like
Okay.
I've really grown to respect Taylor Swift because like she honestly works really hard and she gets a vision and she lives it out authentically.
Yeah.
Like she executes
Nice.
it. Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to plug, or is there anything that you had hoped that we would cover that we did not?
I think so. We covered my death doula work and my new blog and had great conversations. I don't think
Agreed.
so.
It was
Is there
really fun.
anything else that you want to add that we didn't talk about?
No, I don't think so. Just again, thank you for the reference, the referrals. Thank you for one time messaging with a person is hard enough to choose a date and then they show.
Yeah.
Right? 3 reschedules, not lost on me that you had to put 599 unread text messages worth of energy into staying to make this happen.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I definitely want to, like I said, keep some kind of tabs on what happens with the death doula stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know how to, what the proper channel for the right dose of encouragement is for you to have the Substack thing
Mm-hmm.
give you what it needs to give you. But it's, if nothing else, it's energy, truly,
Thank you. I believe in that.
And I've been there. I still am there. Like, if I woke up, debt, house, and with what's left, how can I, here, you take this and show me the way so that I can do that, right? Full time and pay the bills.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah.
10 o'clock.
Dang.
Long evening.
Dang, we talked for 4 hours.
We did.
Woo.
And almost all of
You're
that.
going to cut that down, right?
I mean, I'll cut out a few minutes at the beginning, and then I'll cut out what needs to be cut out. But there's nothing beyond that. It's all merited. It needs to be in the stew.
It's all important stuff.
So,
yeah.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the gifts.
Yay.
Super cool stories behind the greatest hits.
Those actually have some pretty good stories.
You thumbed
in
through
them.
it?
Yeah.
Nice. And then, of course,
yes.
old Bob.
Office
old Bob
decor.
and T Swift. Very cool. Much appreciated, and talk to you soon.
Yay.